So, we've been editing those clips to put up on YouTube, the shorts.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find reusable clips because I'm listening to myself talk and just going like, I stutter so much when I have a point in my head.
You do?
I don't know how to make it. It's awful.
Oh, man. Well, I don't think that, but let's see what the audience thinks, if they agree with that. I mean, a lot of us, when something comes up, especially in conversation, and you have an idea that springs out from the conversation, it happens. It's just, you want to articulate what you're thinking. I say a lot. I freaking hate it.
My problem is I get an idea in my head and I know how I'm going to start my sentence, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to hit the point. And so I kind of just talk in circles before I finally get there.
Well, practice makes perfect. This is episode 90. So
we are so close to hitting that centennial mark, my man.
We are. So we might just hit it. No, we won't. We're end of September. So we have one more this month. And then we might exactly hit it.
December, I think, right?
Yeah. Maybe we should try and push it. We make the 100th like New Year's Eve or a New Year's episode. We can
take a couple weeks live. I was going to say we could do a Christmas UFO episode. I don't know how that would work. Santa's an alien.
Well, I'm sure there've been sightings in Christmas and abductions and stuff like that, right? Because people are out doing things. So, I don't know. Yeah, that might be a fun one.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this episode we're doing Allagash abduction case, which after researching it, I know which one it is. I just didn't recognize the name.
Now I know, maybe it's going to be the same situation for me because I don't recognize the name Allagash at all.
Right.
I don't recognize this. I know nothing about this. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right. So I think you will. Yeah. Once you start reading, like, that one. Maybe not. But it came from a new listener or a new viewer. Actually, it's on YouTube, and he did recommend doing a deep dive into the Allagash main abduction. Yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of clips we're going to look at. Crazy sightings as well. Really weird sightings from last week.
This past week has been a buzz. I mean, it feels like everything is pointing towards something big on the horizon.
Isn't that crazy?
Two meanings to that.
Yeah, I mean, it feels weird when that happens. Like when something's on the horizon. It's just, and who knows? It might be because of everything happening in all the wars in Ukraine, Middle East, what's happening in this country, when people are feeling emotional or things aren't doing so well down here, there seems to be a lot of sightings, or people are looking up more. Who knows?
But before we get started, I need to say this. Welcome to the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Yeah.
That is UAP, I have a need to know, Adam.
Hey, everyone.
And I am 70PH3R, aka Topher. And we are so happy all of you are tuning in on this wonderful Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. The year's wrapping up here. This year went by super quick.
It did.
Everything since COVID happened has been just a dream, a whiff of a dream.
I know, what a terrible time that was. I feel like I'm still kind of stuck in it, at least in some habits I have, where it gave me complete dopamine hits to do. Like now it doesn't.
For sure. I mean, one of my horrible things that I'm trying to quit is ordering stuff through DoorDash. That was something I had never done before. And then when COVID happened and you weren't allowed to go into the stores, you had to order online. And then I realized how convenient that is. but it is so expensive, and just making food at home is way cheaper and much more healthy.
Much more healthy, yeah. And the cost is what, 50% more, because I think they add on, like, the price of whatever you're buying. They add, I don't know, 15-20% on top of that. Then they have their fees. Then you have the tipping. So,
it's crazy stuff. The tipping, I mean, this might get us canceled, but I don't tip the. I do, whatever the lowest amount of tip you can give a driver. That's what I do, because it's just so expensive.
Yeah, it is very expensive. Yeah. DoorDash pays them a fee, but then they do rely on tips as well. But like you said, so this is episode 90. We are going to do a deep dive into the Allagash abduction case. So I did find 2 good articles on it. One that's shorter than the other, and then there's 2 videos. One that's older, which is a show sightings, and then a more recent interview. The older interviews, the audio was just terrible, so it wouldn't have worked on the show. So there is a newer interview with 2 of these guys on there that we can go through as well.
So it looks like this article is from Soul Ask, and I really, really love their top menu. Scroll up to the very top. You've got aliens, apocalypse, bizarre, conspiracies, paranormal, Earth. These are all things I'm interested in. And,
very nice.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they're looking for some writers too. You know?
Oh, that'd be nice. I'd love to write for these guys.
Who's another one that we're looking at? UFO Insights. They're a good one. So yeah, this was not too in depth, but it does give a nice overview. These are the guys that
you should read the title of the article first.
Aliens abduct 4 people in Allagash, Maine. They went straight into aliens.
Maine, another name for Maine is Southern Canada.
Where? No, that's Vermont. I remember going through Vermont, and it's not miles per hour; it's kilometers per hour.
Oh, those dirty Canadians! Get them out of here! Secede.
I even think they had Canadian flags too at some point.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah, Maine is. I think they've had a few stories, UFO stories.
They've got a beautiful landscape and wilderness up there. I've never been personally, but of course I've seen pictures and stuff like that, and it is an absolutely beautiful area.
Yeah, not a huge population, right?
Yeah, and it's on the east coast, the most northeastern spot in our great United States.
That is right. All right. So on August 20th, 1976, 4 Boston residents, so they're not even from there, went for a walk in the nearby forest near Allagash, Maine. 2 of them were twin brothers, Jim and Jack Weiner. The third, Weiner? No, it's Weiner. Okay. The third
it's probably Weiner. I can't imagine they went through life not correcting
people
when they got called Weiner.
Remember that guy? He's Weiner, man. The guy.
He was a congressman.
Yeah,
and he got in trouble for sending dick pics to people
for showing his wiener.
And then after that, when he started making public appearances again, one of the top stories, and I think it was the New York Post, was Weiner pops out. Hysterical. It could be Weiner.
Yeah. All right. So Weiner or Weiner.
So for sure, these twins were bullied as kids. Go on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The third was their friend Charlie Waltz, and the fourth was their friend Chuck Urich, who was the most experienced in tourism and led the group. So he was responsible for them to. He was the one responsible.
Sorry, I totally missed it. What year was this?
1976.
76. Okay, yeah. The photo makes it seem like 1970s.
Yeah, and look what they have. We have such more advanced stuff for camping these days.
Mm-hmm.
We're spoiled.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I guess we can go on here, maybe on the first night.
Yeah, I'll read that. On the first night in the woods, everything was fine, but on the second, the oddities began. The men saw unfamiliar light in the sky, which was definitely not from an airplane or Jupiter or whatever they're saying these days.
Right.
After a few more days, they went on a night fishing. They missed a word there. They went night fishing and camped on the shore of Eagle Lake, which was to play the role of the lighthouse.
Interesting. All right.
The men sailed away from the shore and threw their fishing lines. Suddenly, a strange light reappeared in the sky. One of them turned on his flashlight and pointed at it. Then the light in the sky became even brighter and flooded their entire boat. Pointing lights at the sky, for whatever reason, is a sure way to get UFO attention.
Yeah, be careful, folks, if you're going to do that. It's going to grab its attention, and it's going to come right after you.
Yep.
So at that moment, go ahead.
No, I was just going to read, so you're already reading. Go ahead.
All right, so at that moment, the twins and Waltz were overwhelmed with horror. They were desperately trying to row ashore, and Urich was fascinated by the bright light and looked at it with blinking eyes. And there's a...
Two of them, three. It sounds like 3 of them are freaking out. One guy's like, "Holy shit, guys! Look at UFO! How cool is this?"
With blinking eyes.
I already liked the name Chuck Urich. The story has barely begun, and I already like this guy.
And then everything disappeared. The next thing the four men remembered is standing on the shore by the fire that had been burned to ashes. It took them at least a few hours to understand what had happened, but no one wanted to talk about the event.
I mean, how many cases of UFO abduction do we have to read where, people who get abducted, they do not want to talk about what happened, whether it's subconsciously or unconsciously, they truly don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's, I guess, part of the brainwashing that happens. Like, that if they talk about it, something bad will happen to them.
Also, everyone felt mentally and physically exhausted. They just wanted to get their tents. They wanted to get, this is a poorly written article. They just wanted to get out their tents and lie down, which they did. The next morning, they acted as if nothing happened. Very common with UFO abductees.
So, yeah, go ahead. This is
in 1988. Jim Weiner suffered an accident. Jim Weiner suffered an accident in which he sustained a head injury, which is why he began to have nervous attacks on a regular basis. In addition, it turned out that he had long been tormented by nightmares. Jim shared that he understood that these were not only dreams, but memories of what had happened at night during his stay in the woods.
That sucks.
In those memories, he saw gray human beings with dark eyes, without eyelashes, and a metallic luster. Metallic lusters in quotes. The creatures had long necks, 4 fingers on their hands, and their heads had a strange shape, most likely shaped like an almond, because they're always shaped like that.
Right.
These creatures examined him as if they were experimental doctors, while the 3 other men were in the corner of the room and observed them. Again,
look at this observing.
This is a great. So it looks like Jim Weiner drew this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really common when you listen to UFO abductee experiences. They will take you one by one and they force the other people to watch. It's not that uncommon. I mean, it's so not uncommon. We talked about it in the Coronado group abduction, where people were sat and forced to watch other people getting tested or experimented.
And some were used to calm them down, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like they recognize talents of people and then use them for those talents.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you get abducted, you're part of the experience in the sense that it's like if you give and take. As much as the aliens give and take.
I mean, maybe that's what makes it more surreal to them and dreamlike, because they're just all of a sudden part of this thing,
right?
Not just victims.
It's almost like the way I make the equivalency is it's like being an actor in a play. You have your part in the play and you follow directions. You're going to sit here. You're going to look at this. Okay, it's my turn to go lay on the table now. It's like which makes it very interesting because you have free will, but your free will is being directed to follow these exact instructions.
Maybe that's a weird way to control everyone. Just give them a task, and there's like a social pressure also to go just to do that task.
Well, and that even goes, if you want to go even further into alien abductions, many people have said that they are taught how to do things on the spaceship.
Yeah, was that also Coronado, or was that another one?
I don't think that was brought up in Coronado, but I know that's a thing that happens pretty frequently in alien abduction cases.
All right, so soon Jim Weiner's experiences became so painful that he began to look for a ufologist to explain to him what had happened and to find out what to do. At the same time, his brother Chuck and Waltz joined him, who also had unusual and frightening dreams, and they also wanted to know what happened to them.
This is Whitley Strieber stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, because the same thing happened to him.
Yep.
Where he was having dreams and he wanted just to find out. He went to a doctor. Yeah, you're right. After a brief study, Jim Weiner contacts the ufologist Raymond Fowler. That sounds familiar, and tells him his story. Fowler advised him to contact regressive hypnotist specialist Anthony Constantine.
Now that's a name.
Seriously, especially that he's like he does a regressive. What is it called?
Regressive hypnotherapy.
Yeah, he's a hypnotist. So all 4 men went through sessions with Constantine, during which they recalled some details of the abduction, how the aliens took them from the boat and then brought them back to shore. What the hell? Look at this picture.
Among the manipulations they made, there was mention of spirals and other unusual instruments inserted into their bodies. During the studies, aliens sampled various types of tissues and fluids. Wow. This is really aggressive.
Yeah, it's history. That's a History Channel right there.
Yeah, wow. Everyone remembered these manipulations as painful and traumatic. Prior to these manipulations, the four men were overwhelmed by the blue light and a blue light that paralyzed their will. Then they entered the room and were ordered to undress.
Take your clothes off.
According to Anthony Constantine, the Weiner twins have indications that this is not the first time something like this has happened to them, and that they may have been abducted by aliens as children. Again, very, very common with alien abductions.
Really? So they thought. So they had new memories after the hypnosis. It seems like.
Well, it sounds like they had similar symptoms, throughout their life, and they traced it back to after events similar to this. After the sessions of hypnosis, Jim Weiner found a strange tumor on one leg. The tumor scared him, and he immediately ran to the hospital where it was surgically removed. Cool implants. Fowler became very interested in this tumor. After the surgery, he wanted to take it with him. Instead, he realized that the tumor had been sent to a colonel from the U.S. Air Force in Washington for more research. So they pulled this thing out of his leg, and instead of talking to him about it or letting him take it, they sent it to a colonel in the Air Force, which is absolutely bizarre. That's not.
Don't they kind of need permission? I guess you're giving them permission to test it.
Yeah, but you don't. Okay, if like right now, if I walk into a hospital and say I've got a tumor on my leg, and they cut it out, they're not going to send it to the Air Force.
No, they're not. They should go to like a test center, medical test center.
Right. He clearly had something in him that.
Wait. Okay. So wait. That means that Jim must have told the hospital something. He thinks that these are from aliens or something like that.
Yeah, must have. Or, what it seems like. I don't have any proof of this. If the U.S. government is aware of these abductions, they keep their eye on these people, right?
Yeah. Have you ever watched Taken? Sorry, it was a series
with Liam Neeson.
Was it? No, not the movies. There was a show, and it's about being taken, abduction. It's a Spielberg one. It's a not miniseries miniseries, like seven episodes. Oh, dude, you'd really like it because
it sounds like I would.
Yeah,
it's called Taken.
It's called Taken, and it goes through like several decades following this family, and they mix it with history too. Like they intertwine it with history, like what historical things are going on. It's really cool. You'd love it. Actually,
I'm trying to find it on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Taken miniseries. Yeah, here it is. 2002. Okay. Ooh,
wow.
All right. Steven Spielberg presents Taken. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, I might start watching this tonight.
It's really good because they show how they keep it secret, but then they still reverse engineer stuff, and it shows you that it goes into biotech, and these guys go into and open biotech companies. It's cool.
Wow. All right.
It's probably really close to reality. Anyway, I brought that up because in that show they monitor psychiatrists and other things for any anomalies, and then they come in, like the Men in Black come in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right, so that's really strange. I had no idea that happened. So yeah, you want to continue?
Fowler tried to find out exactly whom the tumor was. That doesn't mean. Sorry, this article needed a once over by the editor. Fowler tried to find out exactly where the tumor was sent and where the study was performed, but no information was given to him. According to him, this suggests that U.S. authorities may have been involved in the incident and tried to remove the evidence.
What?
The men all recalled the abduction procedure. Some would recall one part of it and some another part. But when combined, they showed a complete picture of a typical alien abduction. Since all the men were artists, they were able to draw striking depictions of the examination room, the instruments used, and the aliens. This information would be invaluable to those who study the phenomenon of alien abduction. The four friends would also take lie detector tests, which they all passed, further verifying their encounter. And it says later, Fowler wrote a book about the Allagash case.
So Fowler thinks the U.S. could have been involved.
Well, again, not to keep going back to it, but the Coronado group abduction was the same thing, where they said they saw U.S. military personnel running around on the ship.
I mean, that brings us back to Greer again. I mean, Greer thinks this too. Greer says that a lot of these abductions are actually MILAB military encounters, and that they create these beings, that they're just, basically just robots.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think they might be essentially biological robots, kind of like, what's that TV show that was on HBO about the robots? They live in that amusement park.
Oh, I like Westworld.
Yeah, like Westworld, but imagine they're alien shaped.
Right.
But I don't think they're human created, because that would be insane. Like created since forever. I mean,
maybe 90s, maybe 2000s. I mean, not before. Yeah, and plus that's just too much. They don't need to do that, man.
They can just take people. Yeah, no one has to.
Exactly. They don't need to put on a show like that.
Right.
All right. So here's another one that goes into the details. We don't have to go through I'm sure we can find. Okay, so like this one, they had a feeling of being watched on the lake. The twin brothers did. So identical twin brothers, Jack and Jim Weiner, along with fellow art students Charlie Foltz. This is not Foltz. Was it Schultz? No.
Yeah, they changed the names because it was Chuck Urach, I thought.
And Chuck Rack. It was Chuck Urich.
Maybe maybe these are their real names. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of
shenanigans going on here. Wait, let's get the names right again.
This one has sources, at least.
Yeah, this site is really good, UFO Insight. So anyway, on August 20th, what is the feeling watched? They planned to canoe along the river, which we know about. They would park their vehicle at a staging point, allowing a plane to fly them to Telos Lake, which resides on the Allagash waterway. The first 6 days went pretty much as planned. On the evening of the 7th day, though, on 26th of August, as they set up camp on the banks of Eagle Lake, that would change. They had decided to spend the early hours night fishing. This particular evening, it was pitch black over the waters, so the 4 students built a large fire near their camp in order to use it as a beacon to find their way back. Not long after settling in a position on the lake and beginning their attempts to snare a trout or two, Chuck began to get the strange feeling that someone was watching them. He would later state to MUFON investigators that as he turned around to scan his surroundings, he would feel and see a large, bright sphere of colored light hovering motionless and soundless about 200 to 300 feet above the southeastern rim of the cove. He immediately got the attention of his fellow students, who each turned to see the glowing object coming up from behind the trees. Whoa.
Cool. Each would later recall how the object had a quote-unquote gyroscopic motion to its surface. Again, very common when you see orbs.
Right. The wobbling? Is that what he means?
Yep. Yeah. Listen to this next part. It appeared as though pure energy was flowing over the surface of an object, giving it a rolling boil look.
Wow.
It also served to separate the sphere into 4 different areas of color, which would melt into each other with a heavy liquid effect. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, Skinwalker Ranch, the people who were seeing orbs all over the ranch before they even called in the authorities, talked about these orbs, and this is almost exactly how they described them. While the 3 other students looked on in awe, Charlie quickly picked up a flashlight and began to flash and blink the light towards the object as if in Morse code. As soon as he did so, the object's ascension came to a sudden stop. Then it began moving toward the canoe and the 4 students. As it did so, a, in quotes, tube-shaped beam of light emerged from the underside of the craft, stretching down to the water below. It continued on towards the canoe.
That is so freaky.
Now beyond panicked, each of the students frantically attempted to get to the other side of the lake and to their campsite. However, in seconds, the beam of light was upon them, the object above them. Everything was bright and confused. Yeah, I mean, this is such a typical, it's such a typical UFO abduction case,
Yeah, because there's other 2 like this also where they're fishing. It was
yeah.
Remember that one? I forget what it's called now, but that's the one where they went to the cops and the cops left the recorder in the room and left, and they were still talking about the event.
Yeah,
yeah, that one.
The next thing Charlie knew, he was dragging himself from the waters and making his way back to the camp area. The twins, Jack and Jim, were already there. Each of them was staring back at the strange object, which now appeared to be moving away from them. Chuck, in the meantime, had remained in the canoe, almost in a trance, Can you scroll up?
Sorry.
Staring at the bizarre glowing sphere. Eventually, as the others were watching the sphere move away, Chuck would appear to suddenly come to his senses. He would vacate the canoe and join the others on the riverbank. Yeah, this article is way better. It's got much better detail than the last one we read.
Yeah, that one is a nice overview.
Yeah. This 20-minute ordeal was actually over 2 hours. From the twins' perspective, they quickly realized they were not going to be able to outrun whatever this strange and suddenly menacing object was. However, as the object closed in, like Charlie, their memories would leap forward somewhat. I mean, this is alien abduction 101.
Yeah.
Jack would recall, the next thing I knew, we were on the shore. From there, they could see the object was around 20 to 30 feet above the water's surface, the beam still shining downward. Jack would estimate it hovered there, completely silent, for around 5 minutes. Then the beam would suddenly point upwards, the object beginning to ascend once again as it did so. After an initial steady rise, the object shot into the stars and was gone in a second.
Almost to the stars.
Yeah. Jim said, we all seemed to be in a state of shock. We just stood there unable to move or talk. After Chuck had joined the other three on the shore, the group would make their way back to camp. To their shock and only further adding to the confusion, they would discover their bonfire, which was blazing away only minutes before, was now a dull red glow of embers.
Crazy.
Before they had set out in the canoe, the group had placed several large logs on the fire, and in quotes, to burn for a good 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
They originally believed that they had been on the water for no longer than 20 minutes or so. However, in light of the state of the fire, they came to the realization that the amount of time was at least 2 hours.
Now, what if it really was because it was all three of them, right? That got
all
four. I was going to say, what if it really was 20 minutes? And because they were in that craft, time is dilated right within these crafts.
Right.
And that outside of the craft, 2 hours was gone, but it was really just 20 minutes. But if all three were examined, no, it was probably right.
Well, all four.
All four.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, this is what they're saying is that, when they say it skipped ahead, I mean, it's just missing time. They were they were out on the boat for 20 minutes or so they thought, but then the whole thing took 2 hours.
So his head injury that we spoke about, which was in 1988, right?
Almost 10 years later, I think. So this was 76, and then the head injury was 88.
Right. Yeah.
So 8 years.
So he was getting it was temporolimbic epilepsy is what he was getting.
Oh boy.
So during his regular treatment for this condition, recurring nightmares would strike Jim. In them, he and his fellow 3 art students from their 1976 camping trip were all in a strange place. Furthermore, and for reasons he didn't know, they were all nude. Even more bizarre, strange bug-eyed humanoids were all around them. Wow, that is freaky. So he was seeing this stuff before he went to Fowler.
Perhaps the strangest and most chilling consequence of the head injury and the temporolimbic epilepsy that it caused was the times he would awaken at night and find creatures surrounding his bed. Sometimes they would, in quotes, levitate him upwards, although he himself was paralyzed during the encounters.
Oh, so he was still having perhaps the strangest, most chilling consequence. Huh.
I'm looking up temporolimbic
epilepsy.
Epilepsy.
So fascinated, his doctor would ask if he had ever been involved in any unusual activity, quote unquote. It was then that Jim would reveal the episode on Eagle Lake and Allagash and the missing time that none of the group could still recall. Though the unusual interacting between medical specialists, Jim's doctor was relatively familiar with UFO sightings, and more specifically, the claims of alien abduction that sometimes surfaced as a result of them. With that in mind, when he noticed that UFO researcher and investigator Ray Fowler was due to hold a lecture on the subject in May 1988, he would succeed in convincing Jim and the rest of the group to attend. All right, so he's lucky that his doctor was open-minded like that.
And he's lucky that his friends were too. He was able to convince them to go see Ray Fowler.
Oh yeah. Usually there's like one. I said, I'm not doing that.
Right.
It's all your fault. You guys are crazy.
I mean, that's exactly what happened to Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
One of them was like did not want to be a part of the UFO stuff.
He came out way later, but yeah, he didn't want anything to do with it.
Now that's a fun photo.
I know.
Whee! It's like they're going up a slide.
I wonder if you like signaling them with your flashlight is like telling them, giving them the okay. That's sure. Yeah, you can come get me.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, we've posted. Do you remember there was that guy? He was out in the California desert somewhere. I think we played his video on the show before, where he essentially had a laser pointer and was pointing it up at the sky, and there were objects chasing his laser pointer.
Yep. Start of regression. Do we need to go through this? David Webb. Move on. Tony what's not his name? It was Constantine, not Constantino.
Yeah. See, this is so something is up because the names are a little bit different. But I'm citing towards this article being more accurate.
Okay.
Anyway, the regression started in January of '89. It was one of the most detailed in recent history and would take over 2 years to complete.
Oh, wow.
As is standard procedure in such regression cases, all four would go under alone and separate from the others. All four would produce the same account.
You're kidding me.
According to the statements, when a strange beam of light hit them, they were literally enveloped within it as if it were a hollow tube. It would transfer them to the object overhead. When they came to their senses on board this otherworldly ship, strange humanoid creatures awaited them. Even more unnerving, these creatures immediately took control of the four students' minds, meaning they were physically unable to resist any order these creatures would issue them.
Wow.
Each of them was told to remove their clothes. Upon doing so, they were told to sit on a cold plastic bench. The room had a diffuse white light. The creatures would examine their eyes and mouths with a pencil-sized rod. They would, hopefully it wasn't the same rod used on their butts. They would further examine the flexibility of their arms and legs before instructing each of them in turn to lay on a nearby table. Numerous strange devices and instruments scanned over their bodies during this procedure. It would appear that the creatures would collect various samples, including skin, saliva, blood, and sperm. Oh, so they did get the
sperm.
They did get the fun treatment.
They did, yes. Just hold still.
I'm just never mind. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking.
Why not?
It's too rowdy, even for this.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry. I'm picturing an alien holding a cup and trying to catch ejaculate.
While the other one tries to get it out, though.
Yeah,
right.
There was a round portal in the wall. Ooh. So after they got all of their fluids taken, they got instructions to dress and enter into another room. They would line up in front of a round portal in one of the walls. One by one, they would step into this portal. Upon doing so, they would float down to the canoe and water below. Huh. Neat.
Cool. Yeah,
as well as the strange sensation felt in each of their bodies, they would also note how the light seemed to hold the canoe steady while each of them dropped into it.
Wow, man. I mean, there's no way these beings are making this technology. Someone else is. These beings are just like, they are just robots.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they have 4 fingers. What are they going to do with 4 fingers?
Right now, I'm wondering, are they placed gently into the canoe? Because it says they're dropped into the canoe.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, I think it's placed gently, because if it's touching the canoe, you know what I mean? They'll go all the way to the end of the light.
Have you seen the skits on SNL about alien abduction?
Maybe.
Oh, they're so funny. We might have to play it at the end of this show.
Okay, all right.
But basically, it's 3 people who got abducted and they're being interviewed by the government, and 2 of them are talking about like they had this heavenly experience, and one of them is always like, "Well, they were like slapping my boobs around, and it didn't seem like it was above board. They were all being real sneaky about it. Like, it's absolutely hysterical."
I'm sure it is.
So once they came to their senses, they scrambled the water's edge, turning in time to see the craft move off in the distance. The detail about the portal is an extremely interesting one.
It is really,
yeah. Several other accounts of alien abductions mention stepping into such a portal and returning to the point of abduction. So of more concern to the investigators in the Allagash case, though, was the emerging evidence from the regression sessions that Jack and Jim had not not only had several visitations since the
There we
incident
go.
in 1976, but both had experiences stretching back to early childhood. Each of them would describe in detail and matching the other's account of strange creatures waking them in their bedrooms when they were young children. They would then leave with these creatures on board a craft waiting discreetly above their house. Wow.
This is where, in fact, as recently then as May 1988, Jack and his wife, Mary, would experience an abduction incident from their home in a remote and quiet area of Townsend, Vermont. So, I mean, there were multiple victims of abductions.
Yep. Wow.
So, May 1988. This is a new one.
You want to read this one? I'm tired of reading.
Okay. There's something in the house. Late on the evening of 20th May 1988, Jack would wake to hear his dog scratching at the doors downstairs. He would make his way out of bed and towards the door in the kitchen. When he arrived, however, the room was aglow in a bright blue wash entering the glass from outside. This reminds me of something Close Encounters.
Yeah, this is very Close Encounters, yep.
He opened the door, and right in front of him, hovering in a field opposite the house, was a blue glowing object. On the night in question, Jim had quickly brought his dog back inside and went back to bed. However,
I can't hold on. I'm sorry. I can't imagine that. Dog's freaking out. You see a glowing light and you open your door like, oh, hey, look, there's a huge glowing light in that field. All right, back to bed.
Yeah, obviously he's not awake.
Right.
Or under some like spell. However, now, under hypnosis, the true events of that evening would come out. All right, here we go. So originally, after opening the door, Jack had started to make his way towards the blue light. However, he then changed his mind, returning inside. However, again, he also knew that the light was approaching him and getting nearer all the time. He shut the door, now scared. In his regression tape, he states his thoughts as, quote, "I don't want to deal with this now. Why are they here now?"
Sounds like every interaction I have with a coworker.
Why now? Can we deal with this later?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with this now.
He would return to his bed. The terror ran through him so quickly that he would pull the covers high up over his and Mary's heads. I guess Mary's sleeping. He would state in the regression, "I know that something's in the house. I know that they're here."
Oh, Jesus Christ. What was that?
That's scary. What happened?
You peaked, and I'm actually kind of getting a little scared from listening to you talk, and then you peaked, and I literally jumped a little bit.
Oh my God. Then the bed covers began to move down from the top of his head. As they came down completely, standing over the bed are several creatures with big eyes and a big head. As he turned his head to look at Mary, he could see another creature approaching her. Woof. Dude, that's like terrorism right there.
God, that's so scary.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I've had like that feeling before in the past. Nothing's come out of it though, so that must be really scary that you feel it and then you actually see it.
So I believe they're called hypnagogic hallucinations. It's as you're falling asleep. Do you know what? Yeah. Have you ever heard of exploding head syndrome? Do you know what that is? Mm-mm. You hear like it's like just as you're falling asleep, you hear like a loud noise.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've had that before.
It's an auditory hallucination. Okay. I used to get them a lot when I was drinking. Uh-huh. I still get them every once in a while, but it's pretty rare. But I've had this kind of thing happen before where I'll hear something and I'll wake up and I'll see something in the room with me, but then I realize it's something in my room that's already there, but it like in your half.
It looks like something, but it's
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Scary, man.
It is scary.
Physical evidence left behind. Really, much like they did on the craft over a decade earlier, these creatures would assert a mental control over the pair. Both he and Mary received instructions to walk towards the light crashing into the room. An order they were powerless to resist. They would make their way outside where a huge house-sized glowing object was hovering over the yard, a long column of light extending down from its underside. The color would change several times, going from white, yellow, and orange before returning back to the bright white.
Yeah, this is Close Encounters.
Yeah, exactly. So when did Close Encounters come out? In the 70s?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. They would walk directly into the light and then instantly transfer it onto the craft above. Once on board, they separate them. Then the examinations of an extremely similar nature to the ones over Allagash went ahead.
Hosts is a really nice term to use. Abductors.
Exactly. Criminals. Terrorists, yeah. When these were complete, they were matter-of-factly floated back to the house, through the door, and to their bedroom. Once there, despite the heavy confusion in their minds, they simply went to bed and went to sleep. Dude,
so this particular incident would result in the discovery of strange burn marks on the bottom of Jack's feet, as well as a biopsy-like scoop mark on his ankle. Wow. Again, whether coincidentally or not, this mark was directly above a mark remaining from an Operation Jack had several years previously. So they tested him to see what that test previously was. Interesting.
Yeah.
This was to remove a sudden lump that appeared out of nowhere. Is this the
the cancer thing?
The tumor he had on his leg? Yeah, it must
be.
What is further interesting here is developments following the removal of the lump. They would inform Jack that they were unaware of what it was and were investigating further. When MUFON investigators would attempt to track down the records of this operation, they were with the, in quotes, military pathologists. The military gave no further information despite repeated requests for access to the files of the medical procedure. Here's a video, but I don't know if
this is really and it's really bad audio. It's what's her name? Julie. Anyway, it's really bad audio. It's not even worth it.
Okay. So intriguing insight in alien abduction. Is there anything in here worthwhile?
Let's see. I mean,
they're talking about the hoax side of it, saying that it's very unlikely.
Right.
They had a bunch of Jim and Jack, the twins, had paranormal experiences. They both remembered. Researchers thought it was extraterrestrial. Then they're talking about other stories. This one from 2015. However, this is Chuck Rack talking about the UFO sighting. He had doubts as to the authenticity of their apparent apparent memories of an abduction. What is interesting here is not so much the claims themselves, but all reference besides in chat forms appear to be deleted. Huh.
Really?
So he said a bunch of stuff that was scrubbed from the internet.
Might this be an attempt to discredit the case?
He probably posted on Reddit. And that's why the mods didn't like him for some reason and they removed all of his stuff.
So he had doubts of the authenticity of their memories, basically saying that regression could have planted those memories, right?
Well, or, I mean, when you're doing hypnotherapy, it's not an exact science. You're putting people in a trance and trying to look at their memories, but a lot of times you can watch a movie and that gets put in your subconscious and you quote unquote recall that as a memory, stuff like that.
I would like to do a hypnotism and see how it goes.
I don't believe I can be hypnotized, but I would like to try.
Yeah, I mean, right. You'd have to drop that you can't be hypnotized, because I've gone in with that attitude every single time. They always kick me out, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to be like, just basically give up to them. I guess like the aliens.
Yeah. So
wait, let's go. Yeah, this is on sighting. Well, we have that, and we have this recent one. That's Jim, and that's Chuck.
Okay.
This is recently. So we can do this one quickly and then go to the sightings one, let's start with the sightings.
This is the most recent one. Let's listen to this one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's listen to them here.
76. And after working our way across, taking a good 20 minutes to get there, we began fishing. And we'd only been there just maybe about 10 minutes at the most.
Yeah, if that.
And the other guy was sitting at the back of the canoe said, "What the hell's that?" And we all turned and looked in that direction. And I saw this light at the tops of the trees.
I mean, this thing was big, man. It was as big as a 2-story house. It had to be at least 70, 80 feet in diameter.
Yeah.
Were you fearful?
No,
Curious.
not at first. We
Curious.
were very curious at first because it made no noise at all. So there was no threatening hums or whines or anything like that.
And it was moving slowly
it was going
toward
very
us.
slowly, but it had this it wasn't a solid. It didn't look like a solid object. It was like it had a fuzzy edge to it. I thought, well, let's try signaling. And Chuck had a flashlight because we were using the flashlight to attract fish.
Sure.
And he immediately ticked off a SOS.
Just out of curiosity.
As soon as he did that, I mean,
they regretted it afterwards. He probably doesn't do that anymore.
That is very interesting that doing an SOS brought this attention to them. I mean, it could just be the flashing of the light.
Right.
But aliens seem to know, they seem to have a somewhat understanding of our, I don't want to say culture. Like, I feel like they would, what I'm trying to say is I think they would know what an SOS means.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's a lot of conjecture on my part. But it's
maybe that's what the abduction was about. Oh, wait, are they hurt? What's wrong with them? Let's try and fix them. And then they brought them on board and there was nothing wrong.
Right. Like they don't understand context that these people are not in trouble, but they do understand that the light means SOS. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Again, this is just conjecture.
Right.
Immediately after he did that, this beam of light came out of the bottom of this thing and it came right for our canoe. I mean, we lit up like a Roman candle out in the middle of a black lake. So we started paddling. And I mean, we were really going. And I remember looking back at one point to see where this thing was and thinking that it was way behind us. And instead of being way behind us, it was right up there. And then the next thing we remembered, all of a sudden our canoe hit the beach. And we got out of the canoe and we stood there and it was right in front of us in the water. I remember standing there looking at this thing, thinking that if I had a stone or a fair-sized rock, like, maybe an egg-sized rock, I could hit it. That's how close it was. So it's about 30, 40 yards maybe. And there was a beam of light coming out of the bottom of it on the water. It wasn't moving. It was almost as if it was sitting on this beam of light. And then the beam went up into the sky and it just went whoosh, like that, just like an iris closing.
Now that's a bit different from what we read because they said they took off to the stars. Well, at least the writer said that.
Yeah. It also, like the first article we read, it sounded like they were freaking, like at least 2 or 3 of them were freaking out about this.
Right.
Whereas the very beginning they said we were just curious.
Right.
That could just be like the macho. The macho thing that men do. Like, I wasn't scared. I was just curious.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. That's why I was running away.
This is a complete side note, but he said the word canoe, and so I have to bring this up. One of my favorite sayings: "Love many, trust few, always paddle your own canoe."
Very nice. I like that. Easy to remember too. All right.
Well, basically, we knew that it was a UFO, an unidentified flying object.
What were the mutual experiences that you all agreed upon? What were
that there was an abduction, that it wasn't just the fact that we had encountered and seen an object in the night sky that I shined a flashlight at.
Under the control of
these beings.
Whoever they were, whatever they were. What did they do?
They treated us, we liken it as if you or I were animal behaviorists and we went to the North Pole and darted a polar bear and we wanted to go out and then measure its teeth and see how its jaws move, take some blood samples, maybe a sperm sample, see how its limbs articulate, what's that orifice, what's this orifice, how does this work? That's how we were treated. And then the next thing I remembered was sitting in this room. It was a room where I could focus clearly directly in front of me, but my peripheral vision was blurred. And my brother was standing maybe 8-10 feet away from me. He was standing and he was naked. And there were these beings, these kind of, they were human shape, but they weren't human. And they had a wand that was maybe 14 inches long. It was thin on one end and had a slight, tiny little bulb on it. And they were like scanning his arms, and they were taking his arms and
could you pause
articulating his wrists.
I keep going back to the Coronado abduction, probably because it's the most recent abduction case we've covered. But that's almost exactly what was described by
the wand. Yeah.
And he said he had a bulb on the end. Same the guy who had the thing shoved in his ear or taken out. I don't remember the exact details. He said it was a very similar shaped device where it was a wand, but he said it was kind of like a caged enclosed thing on one end. But I mean, that's a bulb. That's what this guy's saying. So I find that very fascinating.
It's so funny how it just, I mean, wouldn't you think if they examined 1 or 2 humans that's enough for the database of what all humans should act like?
It depends on what they're looking for. A lot of people think they're trying to figure out or quantify what the human soul is, and you can't figure that out hypothetically, you can't figure that out from studying just one human.
Or it could be just different species. I don't know. It's a very strange phenomenon when you think about it. It must be just different species and kind of look alike and kind of have the same.
Right. Going back to the polar bear thing that he was talking about, which I think is a very apt metaphor for alien abduction. You can't figure out. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a polar bear expert. I'm assuming you can't figure out everything about a polar bear by just studying one polar bear. You'd want to study a bunch.
Right, and put it through some scenarios and then check it again, and and over time check it at different intervals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to figure out how it ages and how its diet is affecting its life and things like that.
Right. And it happens to all these people that go outdoors. I mean,
that's why I stay inside like a vampiro.
It's good to do.
And his shoulder, and I kept thinking, my God, they're gonna really hurt him if they keep doing this. I remember that thought going through my head.
How long do you believe you were under that control?
Probably 2.5, maybe 3 hours.
Does it bother you when people say that you might be crazy or you might be making it up
anymore? We've heard it so many times over the years. I mean, number one, we have nothing to gain by this. Except public ridicule a lot. But our goal would be to enlighten, inform, and put some type of positive direction on this.
Oh, that's cool. Too bad it wasn't that long though. And then
he's dead. He's dead, right? Though I mean, these people gain nothing from talking about this other than public ridicule. That's always how it goes with alien abductions. It's built into the system.
Yeah, unless you're those guys from the government and they just have New York bestseller books.
Yeah.
Those guys make money.
Yeah.
And they're not even first-hand witnesses. It's so crazy.
That's right. Huh? Hey, that's right, kids. If you want to get famous for knowing and talking about UFOs, work for the government.
Yeah, go for the government. Yeah, they'll definitely help you out. They'll get you on shows. You'd be on the Daily Show. You'd be on all the nightly shows, on the morning shows. Every podcast. That's right. Everyone wants to interview you, and you'll make sure to make a ton of money. Oh yeah, even Joe Rogan will see you too.
That's why when we get Lou on the show, I'm not going to ask him a single thing about UFOs. I'm going to ask him, about his diet and exercise. I want to ask him about his facial hair. Things like that are just completely
maybe the last 2 minutes. Like, all right, just to wrap it up. I
think our fans would appreciate a whole bait and switch. It'd be very funny.
He'd be shocked. Like, wait a minute, you guys aren't going to ask me what UFOs?
Can we get back to the UFOs, please? No, I want to know about your right pinky toe. What's the toenail like there?
Yes, and tell us about your favorite Cuban food.
What's your favorite sci-fi movie?
Right, we should ask. Yeah, we should gather all these questions, like maybe 40 questions, like really, just mundane, nothing to do with UFO questions.
So, what'd you have for breakfast this morning, Lou?
Yeah, what's your favorite color?
How do you prefer your eggs?
So I don't know if this is going to have anything new. We can just start and skip ahead maybe. And see, but Jack is in. I see Jack is in here too. So we heard from Jim and Chuck, but it looks like the other guys are also in here.
Cool. Yeah, let's give it a listen.
Okay.
We'd never been, getting some fishing done, paddling canoes. It was fun.
That's the way it started out for 4 friends on a weekend fishing trip along Maine's Allagash River. Charlie Foltz, Chuck Rack, and twin brothers Jack and Jim Weiner were all art students together in Boston.
The last thing on our minds was any UFOs or anything like that. We just wanted to go fishing. It was very, very dark. So we decided to build a fire so we could find our way back to our campsite. We built a huge fire. We built it to last several hours because we expected to be out there fishing for several hours. And all four of us climbed in one canoe with our fishing equipment and headed out into the lake. We were out there for approximately 15 or 20 minutes fishing with no luck. And suddenly Chuck Rack said, "Hey guys, that's a heck of a case of swamp gas." And we turned around, and probably 150, maybe 200 yards away at the most, coming out of the trees was this huge ball of glowing, pulsating light.
I remember it as being a very bright, round sphere of light that had kind of a roiling quality to it. It was yellow-white in nature. It hovered totally silently over the trees.
Hovering there above the trees, motionless. So we thought, well, it's obviously not an airplane because airplanes don't hover. So Charlie Foltz said, well, maybe we should signal it with a flashlight that we had with us. And we thought, well, sure, go ahead, signal it. You know, what's going to happen? The minute he did that, as soon as he signaled it, it started moving towards us. The next thing I remembered was seeing the beam coming right towards the back of the canoe. And at that point, we started paddling very quickly towards the shore. As I was paddling, I was looking over my shoulder to see where this object was in relation to our canoe. And it kept just following us, coming closer and closer and closer. I was in a panic, to be honest with you. A second later, it was right on, almost on top of us, with this beam coming across the water right towards our canoe. And I remember thinking, well, we're not going to outrun this thing. There's no way we're going to outrun this thing. And then the next thing I remembered was standing on the beach.
No one remembers how they got to the beach.
All right. Good to hear from Jack, though. Let's see. Who's this guy? Oh, Fowler. All right. So here's Fowler, the ufologist they went to.
Perfect.
Because I've been having the same dream.
Jim went to a psychiatrist for help with his night terrors. His doctor referred him to Ray Fowler, an alien abduction researcher.
I think that the Weiners opened Pandora's box because now they have questions about reality that they never had before.
Story of my life.
Questions for which
Wieners open up Pandora's box.
That's a story of every woman's life, probably.
Ladies,
Answers.
keep your Pandora's box locked as long as you can.
Oh my God.
Each of the Allagash Four underwent hypnosis. Each was regressed separately, but all told the same story about what they had experienced in 1976. Their sessions were recorded.
A beam is coming towards us. I don't know what it's going to do. It makes me feel like I'm flying apart. I remembered the pressure, a heat of my physical body being ripped to shreds, like on a molecular level. I mean, it's the only way I can verbalize it, but it is an extremely unpleasant feeling. It feels like death.
Had no idea where I was. Then I realized that the three guys were sitting to my left on this bench, naked. All I knew was I was in a strange place, laying naked, paralyzed, with this thing coming towards me.
Creatures that I remembered, they reminded me of bugs.
No eyelids, they didn't blink.
I remember these creatures examining my brother with a type of wand.
The Wieners had their wieners out.
Yes, it was a long, thin instrument, maybe the diameter of a pencil, a little over a foot long, with a bulbous end on it.
The next thing I remembered was they turned me over, and then they were doing some type of anal exam, and it terrified me.
I remember them taking a sperm sample from me. They flooded my mind with images of lovemaking and sexual visions.
God, these aliens are
aroused
horny.
me.
I know, but they must know about our sexuality, unless they just take it from the depths of your mind.
I'm assuming that's what it is.
How do you know that is a well?
There's a really famous case that happened in Florida. It's kind of dubious as if it's been debunked. I cannot remember for the life of me what the case was called. You would know it. It's very famous. But
Florida?
he describes this exact same thing where they would just flash images into his head. But
not the Sea Breeze one, or no, Gulf.
Was it Gulf Breeze? Gulf Breeze. Yeah, that's exactly the one I was talking about. Yeah,
it was that. Is that one? I didn't know he was abducted too. I know he took crazy.
I don't know.
Pictures.
I don't know if he was abducted, but he said when he was seeing the UFO, he was hearing voices from the UFO and getting images in his head.
And the images were sexual images,
naked ladies. But he also said there were some weird ones too, where sometimes they were pregnant, and then he got pictures of dogs for some reason. So I think they pull from your subconscious, but they're not exactly great about it.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm assuming he's not into dogs. Maybe that guy was.
So it's not really the aliens that are horny, but maybe the ones being abducted that are horny.
I think they know what makes you horny, and they use that to
yeah. Well, okay, well that makes me feel a little better that they're not being milked, and they just use psychological ways to collect the semen.
Well, I'm putting this out in the universe. Aliens, if you do get me, I want to be milked. I don't want the image treatment.
Milked by aliens.
Now that's a fun book.
Yeah, because you can gather a lot of them and then focus on the ones. All right, this is not funny though. Being abducted is not that.
No, it's not. But this is how I do things. I use humor to not talk about things that are actually important.
Hey, it's a great way of getting information out there anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right, so let's just continue. These are cool details.
Very cool details.
But it was totally out of my control. The next thing I knew, we were standing on the beach.
If their stories were true, the implications were astonishing. Fowler questioned the credibility of the witnesses.
I wasn't surprised when he asked us, would we be willing to take a polygraph test? I mean, I'd asked the same question.
Ernest Reed, a licensed polygraph examiner for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, conducted the tests and interpreted the results.
After administering the examinations, reviewing the charts in detail, after talking with both of the brothers, there is absolutely, positively no doubt in my mind that they are being absolutely honest with me when they tell me that they were confronted by a phenomena in the Allagash region.
One person might fool a polygraph examiner, but you have four all passing the tests, and the polygraph examiner being convinced that all four are telling the truth is very important.
After the polygraph examination, the four friends felt vindicated. The truth of their experience had been recorded. Chuck Rack and Charlie Foltz moved on. They are trying to put the experience behind them. But for Jim and Jack Weiner, their abduction experience was just beginning.
The first-hand accounts and polygraph results of the Allagash 4 provide compelling evidence that these men experienced extraterrestrial abduction. But there's more. The Weiner brothers believe that strange new abilities in art and mathematics are further evidence of their abduction.
That's another thing. Okay, so now I don't remember reading about this in this case, but this happens a lot in many experiencers, either being abducted or even just being close to one, that all of a sudden they have new abilities.
Yeah, they can play the
math,
piano
art
and stuff.
Isn't that so weird? Like, what is doing that?
It's really cool to me because it means the human psyche can be, I don't want to use the word hacked,
upgraded,
sure, to make you can learn different languages. I mean, it happens with people with head trauma. They get out of a coma and then they can speak another language. I don't know, I might be just making that up. Maybe those cases are a little bit dubious, but there's something with the brain I just find so fascinating. I mean, we've got so much knowledge stuffed up in there that we can't access, at least consciously.
Right. And it might be just being near these technologies, these electromagnetic waves or whatever that's powering these crafts does something to our brains. Maybe, makes it, not evolves it, but just enhances it in a way, right? Where different connections are being made.
But I mean, it's the same thing with like when you talk about like meditation or just even religion. Sure. It can change your brain chemistry.
Absolutely. Prayer, going to church, or wherever, synagogue, mosque, with a group of people, chants. I mean, all of that, like group meditation. It does something. It does something to us. So it might be something very similar.
Yep.
All right.
Next, more than a decade after their abduction, haunting memories resurfaced and their lives changed.
When they returned home, they had a whopper of a fish story. But in this case, the one that got away was an extraterrestrial spacecraft. It was an unbelievable tale of fear, abduction, and missing.
There's something wrong with me. This isn't about abduction. This is about some kind of brain disorder.
Anything but that. I mean, just tell me I'm insane or tell me I'm hallucinating, but UFOs, you've got to be kidding.
It took me a while to realize that I have to deal with this. It did happen.
Researcher Ray Fowler's study of the twins' experience is chronicled in this book, The Allagash Abductions.
The Allagash abduction exhibits the typical characteristics of many, many other sightings and abductions that we've investigated. And I feel very strongly that what they described is a real experience.
The first tangible evidence that Jim and Jack were experiencing a real phenomenon was the strange and sudden change in their artwork immediately following the Allagash incident.
I started out as a very traditional painter. I was interested in landscapes, still lives. I did a lot of pretty ordinary paintings.
Okay.
Then, immediately after the abduction, I became interested in mathematics and science and physics and all this stuff. All of a sudden, I became obsessed, and I started working it into my artwork. I had no idea why.
I used to constantly ask him what exactly was going on here, and he would always say, I have no idea. This is just what's coming out. I don't know why I'm doing this or what it means, but here it is.
It meant something, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
There it is again. It's like Close Encounters, right? When he was making this means something.
Making a mountain out of mashed potatoes.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, that's weird that a lot of this case has to do with that movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is only kind of tangentially related, but the Rendlesham Forest guy who went up and touched the UFO, he had that thing shoved in his brain that was in binary, and all he could do, he couldn't get out of his head, so he just draw 101010, and it came up. It was he ended up writing a whole manuscript in binary. Yeah. And he was not a math guy. He was not a binary. He didn't know what binary was.
He didn't know binary. Code, right? Something like that. That's how they figured it out. But then that's why they say that maybe that that machine was from the future or has to do with humanity. But it doesn't have to be that way. It could extract stuff from our culture, maybe.
Right. You don't have to.
It's on a base.
You can know what binary is without understanding what it is. You know.
Yeah.
But and then it just gets uploaded into your brain. I mean, such a dumb way to communicate. I mean, it's same thing with crop circles. I just rewatched the crop circles episode of the Y Files, and he mentioned several times that people that were investigating them were like, why don't they just talk in English? Why don't they just tell us in English? Because they just kept putting symbols into the crops,
right?
And then they finally did it. They never spoke in English, but they would speak in binary that could be translated to English.
Right.
There's something to that, where they're trying to expand our consciousness without saying it clearly in black and white.
Yeah, and there's so much you can convey symbolically that you can't verbally.
Right.
And also, it translates to other languages, or it's more universal.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cool case.
This is a very cool case. I like this a lot. And
they seem really credible too, these witnesses.
Yeah. And I honestly hadn't heard of this one, and I don't recognize this at all. So this is all new to me. So this is really cool. I like this case a lot.
All right. So, and Jack has a nice background here. A nice house.
Yeah.
I like
nice
the
stove, right?
Right.
Log stove. Yeah.
Seemed out of my grasp, but I felt compelled to do it.
Jim also began working in a new and spontaneous artistic direction. Neither twin understood the force that was driving him.
Immediately after the sighting incident in '76, I started seeing things differently, as if I was being programmed. My artwork changed immediately and very drastically. I was a clay worker, and I had been doing very traditional type of pottery, plates, pitchers, saucers. Looking back on it, I would say it was fairly mediocre in design. immediately after the event on the Allagash, my artwork changed drastically. I started doing very bizarre structural pieces. I mean, you become obsessed with these things. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you just work.
After the brothers began hypnotherapy and started recalling their abductions, they used their artistic gifts to illustrate their experience.
After the hypnosis sessions were over, and I'd come home, I'd go into my studio and just draw what I remembered. It was an amazing process.
Some of the artwork that I've done since the abduction has encompassed images that, for me, try to describe what it felt like to be in this beam of light and this feeling of being disembodied or being torn apart atom by atom.
And nearly 20 years after the Allagash encounter, Jim is still struggling.
I feel like I'm doing a fairly good job on a day-to-day basis, but obviously I'm having a hard time unconsciously because I'm still having horrible nightmares where I seem not to be able to deal with these things.
Jim and Jack both believe the nightmares continue because they are still being abducted. The brothers believe that Allagash was just the beginning of an ongoing series of terrifying alien encounters.
It's not over. This is an ongoing thing. We're tagged. I mean, my impression was that they were scientists here doing a job. I feel that I'm part of an ongoing study. There's nothing I can do to change that. I have to accept it. Otherwise...
That is absolutely terrifying. I mean, shouldn't they get guns and cameras? And I don't know what is it.
But I mean, you know, aliens prove that none of that shit matters.
Yeah. They'll just surprise you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They could put cameras in their house and the cameras would turn off that night. They could carry guns and shoot them, and the guns will only shoot bubbles or something.
Right,
I mean,
it wouldn't work.
They have a total. Whenever UFOs and aliens are in a area, they have total control over the physical realm,
That area,
and the psychic realm too.
Yeah, that's true. Like all domain, anomalous.
Yep.
Resolution office. Is that what they call themselves? Arrow. Well, all domains because it's all domains, right? Water, air, space. God, man. All right, so it's finishing up here.
Well, what can I do? Go hide? They're going to find you.
Now, the implications behind an experience like this means that something from somewhere else, at their own whim, at any time or any place, can take you or I, without our consent, without any protection from our government, and perform experiments on us.
Which is why our government is so interested in it.
Yeah, and that's why they won't tell us, because they can't have, because then it delegitimizes them, right?
They want this technology so bad. It's the government's wet dream to be able to take you, do things to you, exploit you, and without your consent, of course.
And the mind control aspect.
Yeah, and completely get away with it. I mean, this is what every politician wants. This is what every single politician wants, which is why this kind of stuff is not going to come through Arrow. Fuck Arrow.
COVID would have been so much easier if they had these mind altering
control us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I will go take my vaccine.
Yep, exactly.
Well, this is a great case. I'm glad we covered it.
Me too. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm going to do some more research on it because, I hadn't heard about this one. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for our listener who recommended this. You know who you are. Yes. I don't remember your YouTube handle, but I promise you, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Keep them coming. We obviously are not going to know what every case is out there or remember which ones to cover. So if you guys can, if there's a specific one you want us to cover, we will find all that we can on it and covering it. And cover it on the podcast.
And drop a line, remind us who you are, and I'll show you my Jack and Jim Weiner.
Good one. Well, back to reality, back to these days and these times that we live in. We have a new congressional hearings on UFOs.
Yeah, it didn't go so well though, from what I understand.
But this is that's separate. What you see? Oh, the UAPA.
Okay.
Yeah, that's separate.
Okay.
No, they're actually having hearings, and Mace, what's her name? Mace
Windu.
Representative Mace, she's going to lead the hearings. She's pretty good. She's really good, actually. But they're inviting people we don't know of or haven't heard of yet to come in. Yeah. So for the first time in history, both chambers of Congress will hold hearings on UFOs, both chambers. So Senate as well. Historical precedents like Watergate and Iran-Contra show that simultaneous hearings in both chambers can dramatically shape public perception and have historically accelerated both investigations and the legislative process. So when is this coming up again?
What's whose tweet is this?
This is from Disclosure Party.
Nice.
But when is it? I think it's this month.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty big deal. The fact that it's in both chambers, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, Timbershett.
Let's just say it's upcoming.
Yeah. Oh well. I think it's next month, like in October.
Spooky season, perfect timing.
Yes, and then you send me this. UAPDA is dead.
Yeah. The guy, this is the gloves come off now. It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
It's from the Good Trouble show. You probably know the name of the guy who runs that. You'd recognize it, maybe.
Yeah, Good Trouble show. Yeah, not Dan.
I think if you scroll down, you can see who it is. But yeah, so once again, the UFO disclosure going through government, it's not going to work because it never works.
It never works. It's not to their interest. They still don't know how to control it or cannot control it, and that's why.
And they're not willing to admit that they can't control it.
Right. So the only three things left are these three things. From the entire, I don't know what it was. It was like 30, 40 pages.
Yeah, it was a big thing. Comptroller General of the United States review of all domain anomaly resolution office Arrow. Sunset of requirements relating to audits of UAP historical record report, funding limitations relating to unidentified anomalous phenomena. So nothing has changed.
No,
there's not going to be any laws on the books that say the government has to tell us what's going on. And even if there were laws, they still wouldn't follow it because, as we know, Congress and the whole government U.S. as a whole, they don't give two shits about the law. They will do whatever they can to make more money for themselves.
Whatever makes them money. And secrecy makes a lot of fucking money and power.
Yep, power.
Why would they give that up? Why?
I've said it before on the show. I'm going to say it again. There's only two, no matter what a politician says or does, there's only two things a politician wants. Power, that's number one. And the second thing, to keep that power. That's it.
Yep.
And if you look at any single politician, everything that they've done proves that. They only want power and they only want to keep that power. They will do or say anything to do those two things. That's it. That is final.
And all you have to do is look at what our government does, and the treaties it goes into, the actions that it takes. Every action it takes is to give itself more power. They never relinquish power.
Never. Absolutely
never. No, never happens. So here's Trump on the Fox show. What's his name? This guy. It's his show. Gutfeld show.
Nice.
He was asked on here about aliens and UFOs.
Are there aliens at Area 51?
I'll tell you, it's a funny thing because I think that might be a question that I get more than any question.
Because we want to know.
Exactly.
So we have that so-called area they consider like a sacred area. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, I don't think I'm a believer, but I've interviewed pilots that look, I like Tom Cruise, but better than Tom Cruise. the blonde crew cuts, the whole, and this, yes, sir. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. and it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain.
Follow-up question.
Also a maybe.
Follow-up question, Mr.
Maybe.
President.
Yeah, she's like, so that's a maybe and not a yes.
That's his same answer he gave to, I think, Jake Paul. We played that clip on our show.
So he basically says that he doesn't know if he believes it, but
I don't think he knows because, oh God, this is going to sound like an endorsement of Trump. People, it's not. But if anything, over the last 8-10 years have shown is that the government is not. They don't like certain people, and they're not going to tell certain people certain things.
They're not going to tell them. Exactly.
And Trump is one of those people. They're not going to tell certain things. Yeah, sure, they'll give him, U.S. pilots that say they've seen anomalous things,
Right.
and of course they're telling the truth. But they're not going to give him the key to Area 51 and let him walk in.
Not Trump. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not Trump. And if he came out and said right now UFOs are real, for sure that guy, third assassination attempt, will be successful. Failing that, he won't get elected.
Yeah, and RFK Jr. says he would too. So
yeah, that's why I think the Republicans are going to lose in November.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it looks like it.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
There are aliens. Would you be willing to put tariffs on them to help us with the economy? They're not just going to fly down in
Tariffs. That's a pretty good question. And it just shows now we have JD Vance also talking about it at a Trump rally, which means it's getting really mainstream, especially with these guys. Be careful.
Yeah, I mean the people we want to know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's fascinating to me. Well, it's not fascinating to me. People have always wanted to know, but now it's so mainstream. Everyone genuinely wants to know. I don't think they always talk about like, oh, it's a threat to humanity, and everyone would be so scared and freaking out and they'd panic. And I just don't think that's the case. We just
not anymore.
But I think this is a symptom of a larger issue, is that people want to know the truth, not just about aliens, about everything.
Everything, yeah. And COVID woke up a lot of people, like the normies, I would say, to what government does. So that's what makes it easier than to believe that they're lying about this, which is a much bigger issue.
Yeah, definitely.
So JD, he says he doesn't know anything about it, but wants to know.
I mean, look, there's a lot of crazy stuff you read about. I mean, one of these things, I don't know if you saw this story from a couple of years ago that like the Defense Department had declassified the UFO stuff. Did you see that? That was a crazy story. I don't talk about that because I have no idea what's going on. So my standard for whether I talk about something, Mike, is whether enough people that I trust bring it to me, at least to the point where I feel like I've got to investigate it myself, not just trust the media to do their job, because a lot of times they don't.
If I want to bring this up, he's a Thiel guy, and Peter Thiel is very interested in UFOs and knows a lot about this. Like Jesse McKells and Eric Weinstein, those guys are Thiel guys, and they still work for Thiel. And they're the ones out there in podcasts and doing all these interviews about UFOs and trying to dig into it. So he's very deeply into it. And Vance is a Thiel guy. So, I'm not going to completely believe that he doesn't know too much about it. But he's definitely going to get briefed, that's for sure, after this, telling people to come to him.
God, I want to get into politics just so I can get behind the scenes and go see this stuff. Do you think people would elect me as president if I just said, listen, I don't care about the economy. I don't know anything about the economy or politics. I just want to tell you all about aliens. Do you think
UFO president?
The UFO president. You know what? I'm gonna run in 2028. I think I could do it.
All right. I mean, you could always just bring in the message of freedom and the Constitution and all that with it. It comes with it without going other things. You know what I mean?
If I want to get shot in the head.
Right.
If I want to be next to my wife in the back of a car with my brains blown all over her.
Right.
Hi, JFK. We miss you, bud.
That is a risk you'd have to take.
Yeah.
Especially talking about bringing up this secret.
Mm-hmm.
So,
by the way, to all the journalists there, if you do know anything about the UFO story, please tell us, because we're very, very fascinated by it.
Crazy. All right, so we should reach out to JD Vance. You're like, you should listen to all of our episodes.
Hey, JD Vance, be on the show so we can talk about what you had for breakfast this morning.
Would that be funny? It wouldn't last very long, that trick.
No, I think he'd get about 5 or 10 minutes in, and he'd go, you know what, this is not for me. But then we could just do our normal UFO episode after that.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, exactly. Just get to it. Now, we have our differences with Lou, but we say he's a net positive on this. This was one of probably the best interviews he's done. It's gone viral, especially with like people who don't care about this subject, and it's brought on a lot of new people now interested, saying, "Wait a minute, this stuff is real." Like after this interview,
cool.
You'd love this interview too. He did really, really good in it. I listened to like the Joe Rogan one. He was pretty dry in it, or something but anyway, in this one he does really good. I guess he likes this environment maybe better. Maybe Joe got him stoned. You know what I mean? I'm really quiet.
That sounds like the Rogan we all know.
Exactly. So yeah, this was just a few days ago.
Can you turn it up at all?
So, coming on the show, Luis.
Thank you for having me. My honor and privilege.
Yeah, it's really nice to take a break talking about divisive American politics to talk about what is going on. Is aliens?
Well, first of all, we don't call them aliens anymore. That's kind of a politically incorrect term.
They're woke. The aliens are woke.
We now call them in the Pentagon NHI, non-human intelligence.
Right. So you are a military man? Veteran.
We now call them in the Pentagon NHI. So he's a spokesman now.
I kind of get it. It's like the transition from UFO to UAP, because if you say the words UFO and alien, you're a crazy person. But this is a lot more official if you call it a UAP or an NHI.
Yeah, so it's like it's rebranding. It's a rebranding of the issue.
Yeah, so I get it, and
which is fine.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Who do you know this guy? I don't.
I don't even recognize what show this is. It says The Daily Show, but I thought
it's The Daily Show. Yeah,
isn't that Jon Stewart? Or am I losing my mind?
Yeah, so I'm sure this guy's filling in for him. But I didn't even hear them announce this guy taking over.
Well, I thought Jon Stewart was still doing it. I honestly, the only late night show that I ever really cared about was Conan. Other than that, I don't care about any of these people. But it's good. I mean, this is how mainstream this is. This is really cool.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
And you are intelligence officer, counterintelligence officer, a grown adult. By your own words, you're also a fact-based person. You've said that in interviews.
Facts, but I'm also proof that you don't have to be intelligent to be an intelligence.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far.
Let me just put that out there.
Okay, well, let me put this out there. What the is going on with these aliens? There's aliens? So what is alien? What's going on? There's aliens? What is this?
So the U.S. government for many decades has been investing a lot of taxpayer money looking into this topic here. And it turns out that there are absolutely technologies that are coming into our controlled U.S. airspace over our sensitive military installations, may have the ability to interfere with our nuclear equities. And it's real. And not only are pilots picking it up and reporting it, also we've got on electro-optical data like gun camera footage, FLIR footage, and also radar data. And it's not just here. It looks like it's pretty pervasive all over the world now.
So what? There's aliens. There's aliens. They're aliens on Earth right now, and they're doing shit. What are they doing?
Depending
what are they doing?
How you put those two words together, I'm not sure they're necessarily.
No, you can't hear me. Yo, they're aliens. Okay, so what are they doing? What are they doing here? What are they doing?
So it appears that they're very interested in our technology. We don't know yet. I want to be very clear here.
They came here. They don't want to look at my iPhone 16.
No, but
they got shit that flew across the stars. They don't care about.
They are very interested in our military equities and capabilities, and also our nuclear technology. And I think what was most compelling is that in some cases you had literally near misses of U.S. combat aircraft coming within 15 feet of these objects. In some cases, literally splitting a combat formation right down the middle. These are things that can do things that none of our vehicles can replicate. Their performance capabilities are far beyond anything that we have. And quite frankly, there's not a whole lot we can do about it right now.
Oops.
So beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you've seen the evidence there are aliens.
Oh, the government's already come out. Look, you have a former director of national intelligence, a former director of CIA, a former president of the United States, all coming out and saying officially, yeah, there's something to this. I mean, these things look like they're definitely interested in art. Their first report.
Can you pause really quick?
Yeah.
The video is really choppy and freezing for me. Is it for you?
Oh, no. Connection is unstable.
I'm worried about what the final product is going to be like. Can you back it up maybe 10 seconds or so?
Okay. Like here.
This. I mean, these things look like they are definitely interested in our stuff. And furthermore, when the government first came out with their new UFO program called Arrow, their first report said, yeah, there's 143 of these incidents, but we expect these numbers to go down as we figure them out. The next report that came out, there was over 300. The next report, there's now over 800. So the number's increasing, not decreasing.
Okay, so why is this getting buried in the cycle or something? Because Donald Trump says, I hate Taylor Swift, so we just never see this stuff? Because we mean presidents, the government has said these things are around, and
yeah, therein lies the problem. It's a bureaucracy. Look, the men and women, fine men and women of the Pentagon and the U.S. government do incredible work. And most of the time, we are a lot better off as a society because of their professionalism. Unfortunately, in this particular case, the bureaucracy was a problem. We continued to try to get alarm bells up to the Secretary of Defense over and over again. But there was this layer of these proverbial Praetorian guards that didn't want to tell the Secretary of Defense that we were spending taxpayer money.
You mean the deep state, the bureaucratic state, the administration state? You know?
Yeah.
Don't tell the boss. No, he doesn't need to hear that. He has enough problems.
I think it's more you've got all these old people in charge who, when they hear the word UFO or aliens, they just go, oh my God, here I got to deal with these idiots again. And you get enough of those where when you have the reporting duty, you just go, well, I'm not going to tell him. He's not going to take it seriously. So it's like he's saying, it's a bureaucracy. This is exactly what goes on. But it's every business. I mean, when the president of my company comes downstairs to see how everything's going, I don't tell him that the chocolate extract is not soluble in safflower oil. That's something I have to figure out on my own.
You're not going to bother him with the details.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, this is not the details though, right? This is like something. Well,
but again, if you keep bringing up something to your boss and he looks at you like you're a crazy person every time you bring it up, you stop bringing it up, you know?
That's true. Yeah. They just don't want to hear about it, or you guys deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking into these things, and oh, by the way, turns out they're real.
Okay, are you, with all due respect, is there any chance that you are accidentally describing the synopsis to Independence Day? Because that's the movie. That was in the movie. They couldn't get to the dude because they wouldn't listen.
I hope
so
not.
You're telling me aliens are going to take over because of U.S. government bureaucracy?
Well, I certainly hope that's not the case. I think, when we look at this issue here, this has been going on for decades.
It sounds like we're battling aliens and bureaucracy here. Can we? Yeah. I don't know if we can fight a two-front war on this. Can we choose a side to fight here?
I think I'd prefer to fight aliens if I had to choose between bureaucracy and aliens, to be honest with you.
Oh, what a true patriot. Nice, Lou. Yes.
Fun fact about Independence Day, Bill Clinton absolutely loved that movie. And he even had Bill Paxton, who plays a part in that movie, come to the White House and watch it with him.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It is such a great movie. And it's great ending, great writing. All of it was just an awesome movie.
And it is hardcore American, baby.
It is very
Hell
American.
yeah, America, USA.
On July 4th.
Independence Day. Today we got our independence.
Right.
It's a great movie. Very much a product of its time.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think the whole point why Independence Day is such a good movie is because we all understand that is very close to the truth, where the sitting U.S. president does not know about any of the stuff that goes on there.
Right, and they talk about Area 51 there, and they go see the scientists. Yeah, it was fun.
Again, another tangent. I told you I watched the Cornfields episode of with the Y Files. I was watching some of his old videos, but I don't remember exactly which one. I think it was about the hiker that went missing near Area 51. But he there's videos of people going, close to Area 51 and getting detained, and the military personnel that arrest them, they don't have any insignia on their shoulder that shows what rank they are. They don't they don't have the American flag on their other shoulder that says what country they're from. They of course have no name tags, but they're wearing like the military camouflage. Area 51 is absolutely bizarre.
It is.
So
completely.
The theory is that it's a private organization, a private military organization that is doing security there, which just is flabbergasted me.
Yeah, I mean, there's that story that or rumor that Eisenhower has told Area 51 that he was going to invade it if they didn't tell him what they were doing over there.
Yeah.
So it goes back to back then that they were hiding this stuff.
Man, I love Eisenhower, even though he signed a treaty with the aliens that said they could abduct us and stuff things up our butt. Eisenhower
images, yeah.
He was the guy was a military guy that spoke out against the military.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Very cool.
And they didn't kill him.
Ike. We like Ike.
We like Ike.
So that was Lou doing amazingly on the Daily Show. Do you want to continue it, or we don't have to?
I think we got the gist of it. I mean, it's a funny segment. This is the main reason why I don't like these talk shows, is this guy's making a big joke out of it when it's, and I get it. It has to appeal to a wide audience and yada, yada, yada. Because they're talking about Lou's newest book. I still haven't listened to it, by the way.
Oh, you haven't? I mean, it's a great book. There's not going to be anything new in there for you, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe the last pages, like how he thinks UFOs are working. That stuff is pretty cool. But it's not that new, but it's still, he's got some insights in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's still there's a huge red flag. The fact that he got it approved by the Pentagon before he released it, that's a huge red flag.
And that he's been everywhere on the planet.
About it. Yeah.
So he was on the Patrick Bet David podcast, the PBD podcast, and Patrick has had Greer on the show twice or three times.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually confronts Lou because Greer said that he's just that Lou is a disinformation agent.
Oh,
so
good.
He confronts it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear this. Good.
Okay. Let's listen.
This guy on the podcast a couple years ago, his name was Richard Gage, and he was part of the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. I think it's like 3,000 of them, some big number. It wasn't a small number. The interview was taken down. And a week later, 4 days later, they took down the interview. Not sure why, but they took down the interview. And we were pushing back, and he was saying this is what happened, and YouTube didn't want that to stay up. It was taken down. So, okay, let me ask you another question. Stephen Greer, what are your thoughts on Stephen Greer?
I don't know him. So
right.
I
Yeah, right. First of all, I mean, do you believe that he doesn't know who Stephen Greer is? Someone that works in the Pentagon and in UFOs.
I think it's plausible deniability. I think he has never met Stephen Greer in person, and so he can literally say, "I don't know him," and quite literally, he's telling the truth.
I agree with you. All right, yeah, that's what he's doing. Okay.
I don't ever usually have an opinion on anybody. I never talk about anybody if I haven't had a chance to meet them personally.
So I had him. You got it. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I'm a genius.
Yes, you got it. All right, continue.
On for the second time 2 months ago. And are you familiar with Sean Ryan, podcaster Sean Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
He had Greer on. Rob, can you pull up that one clip? Because this is the part where it's kind of like,
I think I'm aware of it. I know the one you're going to show.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I want to show this one here too. I want to see what you're going to say about it. Go ahead.
When you're talking about these disinformation agents, these knocks, I have somebody that comes to mind, and we were talking about him at lunch. Lou Elizondo. Is he one of them?
Oh, of course. I mean, as soon as he emerged on the stage, I had a very senior guy at CIA who's worked this issue since 1979 contact me about that problem. But remember, the only way that you can control at this point all this coming out, because of what we have and what we're pushing forward through media, is to control the narrative, the spin. So the people coming forward who get an all-access pass on to, say, 60 Minutes or something like that, are people cleared by this same illegal, corrupt organization, because they'll tell the public, yes, the UAPs are real, but we don't know what they are. Well, this is an absolute lie. We absolutely know what they are. Some of them are ours, man-made, and are confused quite frequently with the others, which are of extraterrestrial origin, or ETVs, extraterrestrial vehicles. And those operatives are taught very well to take an issue, grab it, capture it, and then spin it in the direction that they want. Now, the direction they want is endless ambiguity. Gee, we don't know what they are. We don't know what they are. It's nonsense. We've proven what they are. Well, I have 755 whistleblowers.
You have 755 whistleblowers?
Yeah. I mean, this archive is unbelievable.
You had mentioned that you...
What do you think about what he says? Because...
Okay, wait, before Lou goes in there, what do you think about what Greer said? I mean, yes, some of ours, but yeah, this whole thing of we don't know what they are is pretty ridiculous.
No, I don't think that's ridiculous at all. I mean, I think what he's trying to say is we know they're UAPs, but we don't know what they are in the sense of like, how do I explain this?
Yeah, maybe we don't know the whole story, but
right.
I mean, if there are crash retrievals and beings, then they kind of have some indication of what's going on. Maybe not the agenda.
Right. Okay. What I'm saying is, if you kill a skunk in your backyard, you can say, I know that's a skunk. Boom, it's done. If you kill some sort of animal in your backyard, you know it's an animal, but you don't know what it is. And, so you can say, yeah, I don't know what that is. Do you understand the difference? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right, so
you asked me what I think about Greer. And yeah. I think Greer is a pompous asshole who thinks way too highly of himself, but I don't think he's necessarily wrong.
Right. Yeah, that's a good assessment of Greer. I agree.
Well, where are the whistleblowers? And I'll tell you, if isn't he the same guy they wrote an article about, if I'm not mistaken, who apparently was accused of taking people on a tour and then paying some dude to pay, like $500 to drop flares out of a Cessna? Is that the same guy?
I don't know that.
I think there was an article. You can. I think it was done by the Debrief, I think. Anyways, my mom always told me if I have nothing kind to say, don't say it at all. So I've never met the man, but it's nonsense. I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, look, where are the whistleblowers? When I went to the IG, and had my conversation, I didn't see any of them. I know the ones that we talk to. We go to Congress and we talk to Congress. I haven't seen him.
Yep, the one you're talking about.
That's it.
I'd like to suggest that he is a regular contact with extraterrestrial kind of person because of document close encounters of the fifth kind, but is really contact with them. The U.S. military, I'm very confident UFOs are unknowns.
We'll skip over
not belonging to China. The U.S. are saying that some of the stuff that he's doing. By the way, can we see it, Rod? Can you just play that? I just want to see what it looks like. Can you go to the flare part? Orange object. Look up.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa, just don't pop too much.
Please crouch down and look, because we'll block our cameras.
Yeah, those are illumination flares.
Those behind me may move and stand up.
Well, what is he saying they are?
You see that color?
I don't know. I don't pay attention. I don't like I said, I don't know the gentleman, so I don't invest any time.
Okay, so to me though, where I go with this is I had him on twice. And I listened to, by the way, I don't know if you watched the documentary he did about the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951.
No, I don't watch his material.
Okay. In your world, who is Stephen Greer or types like him in your world, in the military? How do folks look at someone like Stephen Greer?
We don't deal with him. ATIP was only focused on military encounters. And so, as a civilian, I'd never met him. I don't know much about him. And, I've never worked with the guy. I'm aware of his feelings towards me. He's certainly entitled to whatever feelings he wants, but proof is in the pudding. We got videos released. We've got Congress involved. We've got an Arrow now, an organization that's been established. We've got whistleblowers coming out. I don't know what to tell you. The people are free in this country to do what they want, listen to who they want. It is a free country. And I encourage people to get all sides of the narrative. I will never tell anybody, don't talk to somebody. Go ahead.
Not a very flattering view. Anyway, so I think, okay, so there's two things. I do think Stephen Greer, like I said, asshole, but I do think he's on the forefront of this. I think he has collected a large amount of whistleblowers and people who have seen UFOs, and I think that's important. I also think Lou has, because his work for the government, because everything he does is through the government, I think he probably has a lot of stuff in his books and his notes and everything else that is fake, that was fed to him as misinformation. I do think
he's not a first-hand witness too, yeah.
Right. I do think that's true, but I do think Elizondo is more credible than Greer is given him credit for. But I don't know. There's this weird thing in the UFO community where you have to tear down other people because it makes you more important. And I think
do that.
And I think Greer is like one of the biggest examples of that, where he just, oh, hey, this guy is finding success. I hate him because he's finding success. It's the Kate. Do you watch the WNBA? Have been paying attention to that at all?
No.
Caitlin Clark is killing it in the WNBA this year.
Okay.
And she constantly is getting it's a crazy stat. Like, she has 30% of flagrant fouls that have been committed in the WNBA that have been against her. I think, and she's a rookie. She's breaking all these records. Her team sucks. Yeah, this is exact. Yep, she is white. But her team, even though they're not technically very good, they're winning because she's such a great player.
Right.
And even former WNBA players like Cheryl Swoops are hating on her because she literally is driving up attendance for the she's doing such a great thing for the WNBA as a whole, but because it doesn't fit the previous like mold of what a star WNBA player is, they hate her for it. And I kind of think it's the same thing with Elizondo, where yes, he's worked for the government, yes, he's done all these things, and so all they're trying to do, throw shade at him, throw all this bullshit at him to try and discredit him, but they can't discredit him. So what do? They attack his person. They do ad hominem attacks, which is what they do with Caitlin Clark. Seriously, look at her highlights. She is the real deal. She's shooting threes from half court.
It's amazing. That is amazing. But that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
taking over.
It's very much, they hate him because they ain't him, They hate him because they ain't him. And I think Greer is number one suspect on that list.
Oh yeah, he does that a lot. But they all do it. Although Lou was a much better person here.
It's so shitty that they do that. I don't understand. The UFO community should be together as one, trying to find out the truth, but instead it turns into fucking politics, man.
Yeah. Everyone says that about UFO community. Unfortunately,
but seriously, you need to cut out that 144. Can you do that?
Yeah. I'll put it into the software. And I'll remember.
Good.
So we've seen this or heard this many times of the why. It's all secret. So why not just repeat it? This is from a new interview. Also Greer, which, is a human and is not perfect, right? Just like everyone else that we have to deal with in this world.
He also does that thing where he takes people out in the desert and you meditate and then hopefully you see a UFO and he charges like
a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it's in the thousands per person.
It's something very large.
It is an interest in the 1990s, prior to my meetings with people. Well, what I discovered is that this is a science and technology story more than an alien, whatever, fantastical story.
Right.
And that is, imagine technologies where you can, on this table, some little space this big.
Right.
You could have a device that would run your house or your car or your business, pulling energy out of what's called the 0 point or quantum vacuum. Now, these technologies have been around for decades. This is what the Lost Century, that documentary,
100 years of
100 years, and it's been around a long time. But the more refined ones also allow for motion and going up, So these technologies would completely terminate all oil, gas, coal, nuclear power, public utilities, petrodollar, all of it would go. It's $1,000 trillion. The why?
Yeah, all of it will go. So I just wish we never kicked the can down the road and just did it 50, 60 years ago. It wouldn't be so hurtful.
How are billionaires supposed to make more money?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what happened. So they set up a system where when this comes out, they will still remain on top.
Yep, of course.
And that's the system they're creating around this. Constant surveillance, constant compliance. A world where they don't like you, they just push a button and you're deleted, kind of thing.
Or brainwashed and turned into another drone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So now something else has been going around, and the timing couldn't be more right, I guess. And this is from a show called Psychoactivo podcast. Anyway, his name's Pavel. I guess he's been at this for a while. He's got a podcast.
Yeah, this is. Sorry, go ahead. I want to interrupt.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I was going to say and so apparently the James Webb Telescope has seen an object coming to space, coming to Earth. It moved. It was going some other trajectory, and then it corrected course, and now is heading to Earth. And that there are briefings at Congress that this is happening. We've done a show a long time ago, months ago, about SETI, but the European city getting these signals, right? And that's where this really started from, and that's where they directed the James Webb Telescope. So nothing official has come out, though, but a lot of stuff. And you even sent me another thing about the three-body problem.
The three-body problem. Again, I can't. It's countless how many times I brought it up on the show. It's great.
Yeah.
But this is kind. It's a parallel to that book because the whole point of the book is they find civilization. A civilization is coming towards them, but it's going to take 450 years. That's the point of the book. This is something kind of similar. James Webb has actually found a couple of interesting things recently. They also found a planet that might have artificial lights on it. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. Yeah, so that was like a few months ago, probably 6 months ago when that one came out, the lights.
Yeah.
So and that one they officially said it, but this new object coming in has not been officially said. So here's Pavel saying this.
And you're probably going to say that you can't talk about it. What I've heard from people within Congress that is speaking to my source is there are briefings unclassified where people from Congress are being told that James Webb made a discovery. They managed to crack some of these codes. This is, as far as I am concerned, the same code that was discovered from SETI at home back in the early 2000s, but it was finally cracked over the last 12 months or so. One are those city lights, the other one, according to this information, I am not confirming that it is 100% true, but I know I'm on the track. I already cross-referenced it with another 2 sources who did confirm that they are being told this is it. Before I continue, let me tell you something. This is not what John Ramirez from the CIA was talking about. This is not Apophis, the asteroid that is supposed to come near us between 2028 and 2029. This is something different that is related to James Webb. And it's, I think, this is my conjecture, it is the topic that director Steven Spielberg is going to talk about in his new movie, The Dish. Initially, I thought that The Dish had something to do with a petri dish, but I was wrong. It has to do with the satellite dish which is James Webb. And coincidentally, the announcement of the movie was about a year ago or so, at around the same time when this was cracked. So keep that in mind. Keep also in mind that,
by the way, Spielberg has been used before. When the government wants to put out information, they've used him. Like Close Encounter was supposed to be that too. Like they fed him a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that, and then Ask a Poll, which he asks politicians, congressmen, senators about issues, and he asked about this. No comment. Representative Andre Carson replied.
You cut out.
Classified briefs to add. Oh my God! Why does this keep happening? It happened when you were speaking too, by the way.
Bad internet. So start over. So Andre Carson was asked what?
Andre Carson replies when Ask a Poll inquires about any James Webb Space Telescope classified briefings. He said no comment.
Huh? That's not suspicious at all.
No, not suspicious at all. And then...
Wait, hold on. What's the first? Go back to that one. What was the first reply? This shit has pissed me off. How the fuck are JWST observations classified?
I know we paid for it,
right? This is government. This is the government at hand, folks. This is what they do.
Yeah. Thank you for paying for it. Just our hand-picked scientists can look at it.
Yeah, never forget we paid for Area 51. We paid for all the whatever creepy, weird, dangerous testing they're doing.
All of it.
We paid for Hiroshima, people.
Yes, we did pay for Hiroshima. All right, so he's also Jon Stewart is on Sean Patrick Hazlitt, which is Through a Glass Darkly. It's a cool podcast. He brings on cool people. So they actually had a really funny discussion. Yeah. So here's a small clip. All right.
Get together and see what is going to come around, 25, 26, and 2027.
So I just spoke to Jason Sands last night in a prior interview. And I also asked him this question about 2026, 27.
Right.
And he did confirm that, again, this is just what he heard. It doesn't mean he could have heard things that were information, right? He could have.
Right.
But his job was as Op 4 at Nellis, and they were there to intercept communications to shore up leaks and things like that. And this is kind of based on that knowledge or based on that role. This is some of the stuff that he heard. But what he heard is they're coming. They're coming specifically for their equipment, as well as allegedly prisoners and bodies that our government had seized, or not. It might not just be our government; it might be other governments that humanity had seized, and
because we treated them so well.
Yeah. So I think the contention was that we could either hand over that stuff, right. for number 1 and 2, and if we did that, there would be number 3, an exchange of emissaries or a potential exchange of emissaries.
Right.
But if we didn't, everyone associated with keeping this program secret would be exterminated.
Oh, God. That's pretty ominous, isn't it?
So normal for our government, then.
Yeah, exactly. Normal. But all this is coming out at the same time. All this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is a very long post. I recommend all of our listeners, viewers, to go read it themselves. We're not going to go through the whole thing because it's very long. But this guy is...
He goes to discoveries here, yeah.
He goes to the discoveries. He talks about AI. He puts a lot of pieces together that, who knows? They may or may not be connected.
Collins Elite is in there.
Yeah, the Collins Elite. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Clearly well researched. He cites all of his sources.
Leslie Keene's Distressing Outlook.
Yeah, that one might be worth reading because she's really freaked out. Really? Leslie Keene's Distressing Outlook.
Sorry. There we
Leslie Kean, the journalist known for blowing minds with her work on UFO disclosure, dropped some seriously unsettling comments during her interview on Theories of Everything with Kurt Jaimungal. Keane seemed pretty convinced that the near future is going to be dramatically different from the comfy little world we know today. And the way she said, let's just clear her distress. And the way she said it, let's say her clear distress didn't exactly leave me warm and fuzzy. You can watch her full discussion in the link there. When Kurt, the interviewer, pressed her for details about what's got her spooked, Keane tried to steer the convo towards the usual suspects: climate change and geopolitical chaos. But her vague answers, they had that "I know something I can't say" vibe, like a secret she's been sworn to keep. She hinted that her sources, much like those whispering to Ross Coulthart, and have warned her about looming troubles, possibly even a catastrophic pole shift. Here's a key moment. Kurt: okay, I'm going to hold you to that within a decade. Leslie Kean: oh, definitely. It better happen before that. I don't think we're going to be in any shape in a decade to be doing much of anything, so I'm not hopeful for the future direction that we're moving in.
Great.
Kurt: and the future direction, climate-wise, AI-wise, Keane said, climate-wise and geopolitical-wise, I think things are going to be pretty difficult starting in a few years, from what I've been told by my sources. When asked if these difficulties could affect things like electricity, Keane didn't exactly wave it off. She hinted that some of the comforts we rely upon today might not be so sustainable in the not so distant future. Her grim outlook paints a picture of the world on an edge of something big, uncomfortable change, whether it's climate, global politics, or something out of left field. Keane's reluctance to spill the full tea, combined with the implied knowledge of something troubling on the horizon, makes it feel like we're in a slow burn build-up to a real-world crisis.
Yeah. It's like
it's kind of felt that way for a while, though.
Yeah, it has John Lear, John Ramirez, Phil Schneider. He's got everyone in here.
Yeah, he covers a lot.
Chris Bledsoe, Bashar. Who's this guy?
We've talked about Bashar, haven't we?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anka.
Stephen Greer says the jig is up in secret government. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. Again, this is all conjecture, but I do think this is worth reading for our listeners.
Yeah, and he's kind of right, because it's all culminating to this one big event.
Yeah,
it's weird. And it's in all industries too. I mean, you can even see in the financial industry. The same thing. They're saying the same thing. All right, so we have some UFO sightings to go to.
Thank God.
UFO photographed in China. Did you see this crystal clear?
Yes, I did.
Image?
This is wild. Absolutely wild.
Look at this thing.
It looks like a UFO. I mean, this is stereotypical UFO from top to bottom.
Yeah. And these were seen in China.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of those even 80s. Look at that picture. I mean, can you
very
get
clear photos too. So from what I understand, this guy was taking photos of the clouds and then later discovered that these were in the photos. And it's not blurred. Like, it's not a bug flying by. Like, thing is clearly in the sky.
I wonder what is
like, he was just taking a picture of the cloud there and didn't see the UFO until he started looking at the photos later.
So lucky. But yeah, that's your typical like 1950s UFO. Right? Hasn't changed much. I mean, it's got that rivet thing down the middle here.
Yeah, every time, man. Every time.
Yeah, and right here you have this hole. These are different. These are holes too, or whatever, something.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I think so too.
God, it just reminds me of those 1980s Japanime UFOs.
Yeah.
And then you sent me this one: Tianjin Airport in China invaded by UFOs. So if everyone remembers, they did shut down the airport in China for the whole day because of these things. And I guess these are from different angles.
Yeah, I think there's different angles of the same craft.
Look at that thing.
Slightly triangular shaped or boomerang shapes.
Yeah. Pulsating.
Yeah.
To China's official statement, these were drone intrusions. However, many people doubt this explanation, questioning if these objects were UFOs, as drones usually cannot fly for 10 hours. The incident on the night of September 11th at Tianjin Binhai Airport has been dubbed the Tianjin 9/11 incident. On the night of September 11th, without any unusual weather conditions, Tianjin Binhai Airport activated a yellow-level emergency response plan and canceled all flights, effectively closing the airport. From around 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., 29 flights were delayed, 8 were canceled, and 32 had to land at other airports. Some flights circled above the airport dozens of times but couldn't land, affecting more than 3,000 passengers. One flight was supposed to land in Tianjin but couldn't. It circled the airport 13 times before being diverted to Beijing Daxing Airport. The reason given was that a drone was flying above, preventing safe landing. In the past, drones have disrupted airport operations, but this time was different and more serious. On the night of September 12th, despite increased security measures at the airport and by the police, the drone appeared again, causing multiple flights to circle and being unable to land at Tianjin Binhai Airport. On the night of September 13th, there were more unidentified objects in Tianjin, with several glowing objects moving in the sky. Witnesses said sometimes there were 4, sometimes 5. On September 14th, reports emerged that drones also disrupted Chuzhou Airport in Zhejiang, causing several flights to be cancelled. Chuzhou Airport is a military-civilian airport and an important base for the PLA Air Force along the coast of the East China Sea. When civilian flights take off or land there, passengers are usually required to keep window shades down and are not allowed to take photos. In the early morning of September 14th at 5:25 a.m., residents in multiple areas of Beijing saw a large glowing object in the sky, rotating over a wide area.
What's flying over here? Just now there was only one, but now there are 3. What is this thing?
On the evening of September 14th at 6 p.m., a Beijing resident captured footage of an unidentified flying object moving from east to west. Initially, it appeared as a misty light with a large halo on the east side. It made no sound and gradually dispersed into 3 glowing spheres. Another person near the North 5th Ring Road in Beijing also saw a mysterious halo in the sky. In the video, they mentioned, "I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and looked outside. I saw a strange bright light. At first, I thought it was a commercial spotlight, but this mysterious light covered a wide area with no pattern. At one point, multiple beams of light suddenly appeared, rotated across the sky, and then vanished." One person commented, "Last night it was as bright as daylight outside my home, but the sky was full of dark clouds. How could it be so bright like it was 6 p.m.? It's really strange." Footage showed the sky over Beijing filled with glowing objects, raising curiosity about what these glowing entities could be. Regarding the incident at Tianjin Airport, the strange thing is that the supposed drones faced almost no effective countermeasures. Drone jamming guns, usually regarded as airport defenders, seemed useless this time. Many questioned why these drones weren't just shot down. How could a small civilian drone cause Tianjin Airport to close for nearly 10 hours?
Exactly.
In 2022, a drone also appeared over Shenyang Airport, but the airport staff quickly brought it down in just a few minutes, with no major impact on flights. With China's
Great. That was a great clip.
You know, I'm just glad that China has their own 9/11 event.
Is that what they were shooting for?
No, they said it happened on September 11th, and they were calling it the 9/11 UFO
Right.
sighting.
Tianjin's 9/11 incident.
Yeah.
Everyone wants it. Yeah, everyone wants 9/11. Even Israel called October 7th their 9/11.
Oh my God! Did you see they
Basically
just bombed
their inside job?
They've been blowing up pagers and cell phones.
I know.
They just bombed Lebanon. I think last night.
Yeah. Probably it looks like a nuke actually.
I don't think it's a nuke. Otherwise, there'd be more news about it. But it's a Moab for sure. A big old bomb. Even though I just found out like a month ago, a Moab does not stand for mother of all bombs.
No, it's not. It's another word.
It's a multi. I don't actually know what it stands for.
Yeah, but it's a very scientific term.
Yeah. This is pretty interesting. So I sent this to you. This is from Reddit. I'm amazed it's not deleted. There was a huge rectangular object over Burbank in LA, And apparently, according to the poster, there were helicopters chasing this thing.
Look at this thing.
Yeah, it's a giant, so it's been cloudy here in Southern California.
Yeah.
And there in the clouds is a giant black rectangular shaped object. And many people saw this.
No videos of this?
There is a video. He posted it in the comments. It's not very good. He was taking stills from his video.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, you can't see much. I'll warn you ahead of time.
Oh, and it's like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think any of our viewers are able to see what is in this
I
video.
can't see anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but there are reports of this from all over. Very weird, very scary. We could have had Battle LA again, the Battle of Los Angeles, like from World War II.
Yeah.
We didn't get that this time.
No, they don't care too much about it.
No, because they know something we don't.
Well, yeah, they're not going to waste all those bullets.
Yeah.
And there was one in Mexico. Did you see that one?
No,
What?
but just for the record, the Battle of Los Angeles, I think like 3 people, the one that happened in, was it 1946 or something?
Yeah.
3 people died, and it was all from friendly fire.
Exactly. Yeah, it was mortars that fell on them on the beach.
Yeah. Crazy.
So this one could be a balloon, I guess, but it was going everywhere in Guadalajara.
Mexico UFOs are always really cool.
Yeah,
they always look like witches, like on.
Ahí viene mi cliente.
Yeah.
What?
No, that was the video. That was the video.
Okay.
He was speaking Spanish.
Hola, me llamo
Hola, señor.
Topher.
Ahí viene mi cliente en el platillo volador. Tiene porrines y llantas. A la orden, lo que gusten.
He's talking about his tires. Look at that thing.
Ooh, that's great footage.
Yeah.
Of course, it's all choppy and it cuts out early on my end, but I get the gist of it.
Yeah. So thousands see this thing. There it is. See if we
Yeah,
can
very
zoom in
bizarre.
there.
I mean, people ask like about bowl-shaped UFOs, and this is shaped like a bowl.
It is right there.
Yeah.
Looks like there's something going on here.
Uh-huh.
Could be the
Very interesting.
observation. So thousands apparently saw that last Friday. And this guy he's a TikToker. He actually tried to push his tires.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah.
Social media has ruined civilization. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an old guy.
Look at this. He goes, every civilization evolves. Wait, is this it?
At the precipice of destruction. Oh, okay. I thought that was a good quote.
Yeah.
Every civilization evolves at the precipice of destruction. Oh, that's another TikTok user.
Yeah.
Maybe the influx in sightings means we're almost completely wiped out or on the verge of a species-wide evolution. Yeah, actually, that's creative insight from a TikTok user. You'd think they'd be completely brain dead, but
well, they picked the right one to highlight. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So this is him who took the video. This is what he says. Eduardo Chavez went viral last week when he recorded what people believe to have been a flying saucer hovering in a neighborhood in the Mexican town of Guadalajara. Chavez used the sighting as a chance to promote his small business where he sells rims and tires.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
I'll never get mad about small business owners.
No, of course not.
And as you know what, if you can use UFOs to get your small business like thriving, go for it, dude.
Yeah, look what he says here. He goes, my TikTok followers increased, but the business activity did not because I did not provide the location and I did not record myself. He said,
that's your mistake. No, seriously though, get on him. He got some really good footage.
He did, yeah, he did, and we thank him for that.
And hey, all of you 2 listeners in Mexico, go ahead and go to this guy's tire shop when you need to.
Yeah, when you go to Guadalajara, see, not even in this article, he didn't even mention it in his quote. I mean, come on, dude, mention.
No,
the name.
The interviewer didn't put it in the reporter didn't put it in the article.
That's not cool, man. That's not cool. He sacrifices time.
You know, a lot of people call the Daily Mail the Daily Fail.
Yes, you have said that.
Yeah.
You have said that. They do cover UFOs a lot, right?
Yeah, they do. They cover everything that the mainstream media won't cover.
Right.
But they're not great at their jobs, unfortunately.
So this was in Tampa. Look at this thing.
Ooh, triangle UFO. Those are the worst kind. Hey,
Yeah,
listen, listeners and viewers, if you see a triangle UFO, that's not the one you want to get seen by. So hide.
Right, exactly. And do not flash it with your flashlight. So
Those
if
are
I click on
those are always the bad ones.
All right. So is this the video? This is not the video. Oh,
There we
there's
go.
the video. Look at that.
Ooh.
I can't zoom in.
Ooh.
Yeah, look how it's moving.
Very neat.
Or is it something?
No, that's no. That's
it's
a
something in the
reflection.
glass.
Yeah, that's a reflection.
Because of these things here move with it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Well,
no, it's the way it follows the camera's movement completely.
well, here's this.
Wow, shit. Now I'm confused. But what the hell is that supposed to be? That little light? Yeah, that thing.
I don't know.
Something's wrong with this video.
This guy's saying the way it's moving looks like it's a laser projection on the clouds.
Yeah, I kind of think it is. That's exactly what it looks like, dude.
Yeah, like it's being projected.
Yeah.
Was it like someone who, like a Marriott that just opened?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, you see this kind of shit. Whoa, that's fast though. Yeah, I think that's a projection. You see this kind of stuff in Vegas all the time. And I mean, I'm assuming it's a cloudy sky because there's no stars, and it does look overcast. This is Florida after all.
What?
Now I'm questioning it because the further something like no, I don't know.
There's so many different videos though. What, dude? Maybe that's
No. Go back.
I can't though. I can't because it's Instagram.
Okay, watch the video again right before it goes through the build, like behind the building, it disappears.
Okay. I think it's started now.
Okay, all right. Watch.
I can pause it.
Okay, like a second before. Right, see it
out. What the?
This is fake.
It is. It's like a laser. It's like a laser thing.
Yeah, this is fake. No, it's not just a laser thing. Like if you watch that video, it blanks out right before it goes behind the building.
How come there's so many different camera angles and views?
Viral marketing.
And everyone's pointing here. Wait, where's the? I want to hear it.
Yo! What is that? Gosh. Oh my god! Yo, what is that? Right there. I think it's an alien.
No, this is so fake.
Alien.
They paid some stupid teenagers to yell while they're pointing their cameras.
Maybe it's an alien.
Whoa. What the heck?
No, this is all fake. Cool stuff, but
what is that? What the heck?
Yeah, no, dude. No.
All right, wait, what's the article saying? Where'd the article go?
Hit back on your there you go. Wild 94.1. The Wild.
Including okay, what?
This is nothing. This is an article about the most UFO sightings per city.
What's that strange UFO?
No, scroll down a little more. Yeah, 9 Florida cities.
Well, yeah, that continues. Yeah. But
no, then, I don't think this is anything.
At least I'll say it. So nothing came of it. Weird.
No, none of the sightings were like all those videos we just scrolled through. None of them matched. The UFO is acting differently in every single one of those videos. I don't buy this for a second.
Yeah, me neither. It's just weird that they're not concluding anything. Usually they'll say, "Oh, by the way, that was this," but no, it went straight into the.
Well, that's because they're trying to They're trying to.
No, but even when they do that, they still have to. They usually do something. I mean, because it's not. It's it's a radio station.
This is a website for a radio station. They don't have to do anything.
I'm saying, yeah, but
they can just say whatever.
We always cover these here. They always add something. I'm just saying it's strange. They did this and went straight to the author's profile
because it's not real. Let's move on.
We are. All right, so
this one is really good. So I find this kind of thing fascinating because it's like essentially a triangle spinning in the air.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
It's moving too.
Clearly moving, and it's flipping and rotating and all that other jazz.
UFO Slovakia. So again, and these are the 3 orbs that one scientist has discovered. He calls it some planetary defense system where
he's a
PhD. He's done some studies on them. I'm pretty sure we covered them here.
Yeah, I think we did.
Grush has a book coming out.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you were saying he's been missing for a while from the spotlight.
Yeah, he had an op-ed that was denied by the government that he's not allowed to use. So he went ahead and said, fine, I'm going to do a book. According to this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be called The Hidden Truth, Unmasking the UFO Conspiracy. May be released by French publishers. So it's an overseas publisher. So industry insiders suggest that after facing challenges within U.S. publishers, Grush turned to the international market. The book has reportedly cleared a review by DOPSR, which is the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review, indicating adherence to national security guidelines. So cool. I would love to read his book, actually.
Yeah, me too.
He's the real deal.
It's funny because he was like kind of the forefront of all this.
Yeah.
He brought this into the spotlight and then he kind of,
went away.
He backed up. He just.
Yeah, and he was having reprisals. I mean, his case is still being investigated by the ICIG, so they haven't solved it yet.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So October 20th apparently is when it'll be out.
Nice.
Cool stuff.
Spooky season, man. Gotta love Halloween. Gotta love all the weird stuff that happens around Halloween.
Oh yeah, that's coming up. People are already decorating their houses. It's nuts.
Oh.
So Ross Coulthard saved this about some lieutenant colonel. I'm assuming he is a Australian lieutenant colonel, but it's about Roswell.
Nice.
He goes, as multiple senior officials admit Roswell was real, he's talking about Elizondo and others, time to reassess the account of Lieutenant Colonel Black Mac, Marion Magruder. I don't know about him. So when I read this, it was the first time I'm reading about him. He disclosed that in July 1947, Army flying officers were briefed on Roswell being a crash of an alien craft, that a live ET being was recovered. A class from Army Air Force College was flown to Wright Field Air Base to see the alien and view the crash debris. A decision was made. No disclosure. Magruder also told his family that Air Force pilots were killed during the July 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO flyover, which he was irritated by yearly visits from investigators demanding to know if he had revealed what he knew about Roswell.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Asked about the alien being he saw, Magruder said they killed it. All life is important no matter what it is. His story published 2006 in UFO magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, I really hope that's not the case. I like to live in a world where our U.S. government knew that, hey, probably not best to kill these little men from Mars, and at least kept one alive. Or all
I know. Of them. It's probably really hard, right? They had one alive for a few years, but maybe our environment just doesn't work. Maybe being in captivity also is not good for someone's psyche,
right?
And just quickly, on the National Archives, they have the Roswell affidavits. These are affidavits from firsthand witnesses, like people that were on the base, high up individuals. They're the National Archives, all of them, and saying that they saw a crash and that they saw bodies and that they went to Wright-Patterson.
So freaky, especially I can't imagine, like, especially with American culture in the 1940s.
Yeah,
having your whole world flipped upside down by seeing alien bodies would totally freak you out.
Yeah, the base must have been so nuts. All records from the base are gone, erased.
Oh yeah, weird. It's like the original footage of us landing on the moon. NASA.
Oh yeah,
we
whoops.
We recorded over it.
That's right. There was. Did you see that one leak? Supposedly leak. This one talking about Apollo. Did you read this one from Reddit?
I don't know. I guess I didn't. This doesn't sound. I don't remember this.
Yeah, it's pretty out there.
All right, so this guy says, "Hello, everyone. I made my dad a promise when he passed away last week. He worked for the Pentagon from the 60s to the 80s. He says, I'm really nervous, scared, and not sure what to do. He says, I'm really nervous, scared, and not sure what to write, but I'll do what I can. I don't expect anyone to believe me, but I made my dad a promise. He worked in the government and told me he was in the more secretive side. He said he worked with NASA from the Pentagon closely from the 60s to the 80s. Closely, very, very closely. He didn't tell me much on his deathbed other than what I'll put below. He died from pancreatic cancer and didn't care anymore about hiding things. I wanted to post this earlier, but I was really afraid, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so he said, my dad told me that the moon landings are definitely real, but there's more to it. He told me that the race to the moon was an invitation by aliens who watch Earth. That's why both the Soviets and America were so crazy to reach it. He told me that he saw pictures that the public won't get to see and remembers it like yesterday. Pillars clustered together in the background and pyramid-like structures. Neil was given a wide map of the Earth as a gift to the creature that was half his size. He told me astronauts were not told about this until the very last moment for security reasons. He told me the invitation was a test of humanity's capabilities, and that the first country to reach them would be partners with them. I always knew my dad as I grew up was a big shot, but this is just too much. He told me he didn't think they would come after me, but he said a dead man switch with someone if something happens to me because of this post. I'm already skeptical of that last paragraph. Yeah. I don't know what else to really say. I'm so anxious. I want to puke, but I want to see those pictures badly. Like I said, I don't expect anyone to believe my dad or me, but I kept my promise. He was really hopeful the last 5 years before he died that things would be out there, but he has been mad at the government and told me he doesn't care anymore. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah. What do Redditors think?
They're gonna make a bunch of jokes. Oh, actually, the first one, sorry for your loss. Please watch the Apollo 11 conference when they were back from the moon. I've seen happy with people. Yeah, that one's very bizarre. If people who don't know, go ahead and watch the Apollo 11 press conference. All the astronauts are like dead-eyed. They're not excited. They're not happy. They're just sitting there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is a thing." Like it's very bizarre footage because you'd think they'd be like all happy and pumped up and excited that they landed on the moon and they got samples and they came back, but they're all just like so downtrodden.
Exactly. It's so weird.
It's very weird.
It could be that they were tired or something, but I don't know. Exactly. You'd think they'll be excited for being the first men on the moon.
Yeah, it's a big deal, but it didn't seem that way. Sorry.
That's okay. What did this guy say? It's not weird, in my opinion. These days, they'd have all kinds of media training and a tightly controlled atmosphere. Shit was different back then. These are just three guys that are tossed to the wolves. Professional, but this is not their bag.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, not those guys. They're the best, aren't they?
Yeah, the best of the best.
The right stuff.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting find by Richard Geldrick.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah. Then July 7, 1947, the day before the Roswell announcement. Cameras are fitted to P-51 planes in Portland in an attempt to spot UAPs flying over 44 states, Canada, and Mexico. And here it is. Here's the clipping. And it says, movie cameras being fitted into a P-51 fighter plane in Portland, Oregon. The Army hopes for pictures of the flying saucers. AP. What the hell?
Wow.
I know.
The timing is super interesting to me.
Yeah. That's when the big spike happened.
Yeah.
Very cool. So again, that goes back to Roswell. Damn, we're at 2 hours and 30 minutes. We have Sean P. Diddy Combs. He's been put on
suicide watch.
Yeah.
He's getting the what's his name treatment, the Epstein treatment. What I find very interesting is Epstein, of course, they didn't release any of the powerful people he was connected with.
Nothing.
But Sean P. Diddy Combs, I think a lot of Hollywood is about to be arrested because. So I found a really funny post on Reddit that explained it really well. This pedophile case will expose a lot of people in Hollywood whose names you know of. The reason why Epstein's case wasn't so like the reason you didn't hear about it is because you don't know the people's names that were going to be exposed.
True. And they're more powerful, yeah.
And they're way more powerful, yeah.
Right.
Because truly, I mean, if you think about it, if you have true power, nobody knows you're in power.
Exactly. That's the real one. Yeah, that's the real power. When that's why celebrities, and it's part of the deal. Yeah, sure, you can be rich and really rich, but we have to watch all your actions. Your pictures will be everywhere. All your moves will be documented. It sucks being a celebrity.
Yeah.
From that angle.
I guess for those who don't know, Sean, I'm going to just call him P. Diddy.
Yeah.
He used to have very extravagant parties, and clearly a lot of things were illegal that were going on at his parties, and you can guess what that is.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I've seen a lot of this tied to Justin Bieber, not in a bad way, but there's a lot of speculation that he might have been trafficked and used.
Yeah, I saw some videos today.
I was going to say there's a lot of videos of celebrities being very aggressive with him on camera, and he's
sexually harassing him, basically.
Yes, sexually harassing him, and he's clearly freaked out. I mean, it brought a lot because I don't give two shits one way or the other about Justin Bieber, but this wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the guy's been famous since he was like 13, 14?
He had $100 million 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So yeah, he's extremely rich.
So as we've shown and proven time and time again on this show, in order to get popular and famous, you have to, suck the dick of Weinstein, or whoever's in charge.
Yeah, so and Diddy did the same thing. He had Epstein parties basically. People did drugs, people had underage sex, and he recorded all of it. So
they put him on suicide watch. So for those who are listening now I guess by the time you listen to this, it'll be Monday or Tuesday. When he gets suicided, just know we called it here first.
That's right. And did you see this funny thing?
I did. This is good. Well, it's sad, but good.
I'm very sad, but yes. And I think doing these things now in California are illegal. These deep
my
fake
God,
memes.
I forgot about that whole thing.
Gavin Newsom signed a law, to make these illegal.
We know what free speech is. We're going to tell you what free speech is.
I mean, these are clearly parodies, and he used a parody video of Kamala Harris to make that law. I mean,
just unbelievable, man.
Yeah, so this is funny, and it's basically about Netanyahu coming to our Congress and giving him the speech that they all kept.
He got a standing ovation every fucking 10 seconds.
Every word, yeah.
Just
There was even one time where he told them, "Stop, no, I'm being serious."
Unfucking believable.
All right.
Benjamin Netanyahu, the Freddy Krueger of Gaza. The school shooter, heavyweight champion of the world. The man's killed a lot of kids.
Oh my God.
My friends, the terrorist state of Israel want Palestinian civilians to die. Every man, woman, and child in Gaza. Israel's soldiers are deliberately targeting civilians. They fire rockets at schools, hospitals, mosques. They even shoot Palestinian women and children when they try to leave the war zone. Israel is deliberately starving the people of Gaza, all of them. We win, they lose. I want to thank President.
Yeah, froze up again.
And did that again?
Yeah, I mean, even right now, it's not playing.
Oh no, I stopped it now.
Oh, but yeah, it's been frozen. It just says President Trump like on the that's the part.
Look at that, it's doing it again. Yeah, I'm watching it do it.
Yeah, interesting.
Connection is unstable. I'm right by the router. That's very strange.
I think it's on my end. I apologize.
I don't because it's showing fairly good. Interesting.
Anyway, this guy's a fucking monster, and he just keeps getting away with it because Israel has completely infiltrated our government.
100%, yeah, or at least the federal government, yeah.
I mean, it's like when we've talked. We had that clip of Massey. God, it must have been a couple months ago. Every single congressperson and people, any person in power, they have their Israel guy.
They have their APAC guy. They call him their APAC guy.
Their APAC guy. He's the only one. He's the only one left.
He is.
It's just unbelievable, man.
Complete circus.
But hey, listen. We have to worry about Russian collusion or whatever. Iran is doing this and that and the other thing. Meanwhile, we've got this country that has unfathomable sway in our government. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and they make them just it's a distraction because they never care about anything going on in this country. So they're just completely distracted by what's going on in the Middle East or what's going on with Israel. And almost every single law or every bill that hits Congress has to be about Israel. And if it's not, there has to be some way that they benefit from it. It's really insane.
No kidding.
So I guess here, let's just finish this off.
Zionist actually says a proud Irish American Zionist.
The clapping.
May God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever.
USA. How many kids did we kill today?
So sad. I mean, we need these things to just get information out there. Imagine they want to get rid of memes. I mean, what the hell?
I mean, listen, if people make more anti-Israel memes on TikTok, they'll definitely get rid of TikTok.
I mean, those are the two.
Trump has been trying to ban TikTok for years. If TikTok suddenly becomes anti-Israel, it's going to be wiped off the face of the map. The creators will be put in a what's the Israeli term for gulag?
They have one.
Is it gulag? They'll be put in a Israeli gulag someplace.
Yeah. Detention camp.
Re-education center. Oh, hey,
those are coming.
You know who else used that? Oh, we're not allowed to talk about that. Than re-education. I was making a joke about Nazis and how as Zionists are essentially becoming Nazis, but that.
Oh yeah, you're not allowed to say that exactly.
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
That's against the IHRA. Again, another international organization that's creating laws for us. Isn't that nice? Our senators and congressmen say, "Oh, thank you, international organization. We will sign this into law on your behalf." Taking away Americans' free speech.
So nice. I love the USA. I love the freedom we have in this country. I don't love every single time something happens, the U.S. government devises a way to steal our freedoms away. I hate that.
Yeah, constantly. Well, they Musk, because he's joined Trump, basically, he said that they will work on just gutting the federal government. that's a great step. But that's another reason why they won't get in, right? I mean, it's just too good to be true. You have RFK, who's going to basically make us healthy again, right? By going to NIH and CDC and FDA and just fixing what's in there or just demolishing them. And then you have Musk saying, well, we're going to make it more efficient and end the bureaucratic state. I mean, it's a complete nightmare. I mean, I'm surprised not all three are being assassinated.
Give it time. It's only just about to be October. We still have got 2 more months. Well, month.
1 month. Yeah, a month and a half, or something like that.
Yeah.
Whoa, we're almost there.
Anyway, on that dour note, we want to thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
We do.
This has been episode 90. We are 10 episodes away from our centennial mark. We want to thank you all so much for listening up to this point, and I hope you continue listening. And I hope you tell a friend, a family member, a random hobo on the street who happens to have an iPhone so he can listen to our show.
Hey, all of them if they're in California, they have free iPhones. You kidding me?
Oh, that's true. Tell a Venezuelan immigrant about our show so they can listen to it.
To all our Venezuelan immigrants and Haitian immigrants and all different colors, you can find us on X.com or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. Follow us at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher it all. Follow us 3 and let us know what you guys think of the show. Let us know what you guys want us to cover. And we'll
absolutely.
Do our best to do that.
Send in the requests for episodes. This episode, our deep dive. I really enjoyed that. That was a great story. The Allagash abductions.
Yeah, totally agree.
Loved it.
Yeah. And so we're on all podcasting platforms. We're specifically on Spotify. So if you want to see us on video, also you can watch us on Spotify. But we're on Apple, YouTube, and all the other big ones. And you can follow us on video platforms like YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. There's also a support link at the end of every single episode. So make sure you click that and support us so we can continue doing this with more incentive other than just talking about it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. USA and all that.
That's right, brother.
All right. That is I Have a Need to Know Adam. I am Topher. This is the UAP podcast. We want to thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Next week.